What the fuck is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Chris Akin Presents, round number 2 of the night with myself and Mr. Erik Ferentinos. What is up, sir?
Oh, man, what a day. What a day. The Flat Earth Smackdown earlier on the Seth Williams show.
And that was fun. For those of you that can't get enough of myself and Erik, there's even more of me and Erik that you can catch by going back and watching the Seth Williams show. So that was so much fun, wasn't it?
It was very cool. Flat Earth, one of my personal favorite topics I'm probably most passionate about.
Sure.
And it was difficult not to hijack that entire podcast. Believe me, I had to hold myself back. I was like, don't do it. Be respectful to this guest, because I was just wanting to be a know-it-all.
Right.
Ooh, pick me to talk.
Yeah, but it was, I thought it was just a lot of fun, man. It was just, it was one of those shows. It wasn't meant to be musical. It wasn't meant to be, what me and Seth normally do. It was meant to be different. And I knew ahead of time that I could ask you to be on this thing and you would be all about it, because I get email after email. It's funny. I have these worlds of mine. I have you in my life and I have Neely in my life, and each of you texts me your world a lot. So all during the week, I'll get texts from you that'll be like, here's the reason that the Titan sub was an insurance scam. And here's a 45-page document on this thing. And I'm
to
like,
clarify,
dang.
that was, I said, Chris, I mentioned the Titanic itself being a scam having to do with insurance.
Right.
But a tie-in with the sub.
Right.
And being a hoax, in my opinion. But yes, that's the type of things he gets from me. Plus a bunch of new vaccine-related deaths.
Right,
usually,
exactly. I get a lot of that too. Which is fine. I'm game. See, unlike people that have it in their head that they know everything, I don't. And I know I don't. And therefore, I'm okay to just be like, tell me, teach me. And I might believe all of it, and I might believe none of it, and that doesn't matter. Yeah. I think even for you as somebody that's has a passionate belief around it, I think you're more willing to talk to somebody that'll listen and not believe it than you are somebody that'll just come in and go, well, it's all bullshit and you're just an idiot,
Right. The only time there is so much disinformation out there, though, and as we've discussed, even in our government, we have entire branches of the military and the CIA that's their main job that they go to 9 to 5 and beyond that every day to put disinformation out there. So I do see a lot of people that are trying to get into a greater understanding of our reality, but they get swayed by a lot of disinfo, and there's a lot of sites out there and things that'll chase people away. Even today, I as I mentioned towards the end of Seth's show, it's when you start going too biblical or religion, you'll scare people away too. Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons for that people have, that they're just not into when things get too much about the Bible and so forth. And most people probably generally prefer to follow science, but as we've learned in the last couple of years, science is a lying ass bitch.
Well, there's no reality to the science now. That's the ultimate issue with it, is there's no reality. There's no reality to, if you watch it in a square box, it's generally a lie. That's right. Really what it comes down to now. If you ain't seeing it with your own eye, if I don't see a plane crashing, I don't necessarily know that it did. It's just like, what was I watching today? I was watching something about they were talking about something that passed over the weekend, and they were like, yeah, well, while you guys were all talking about dead guys imploding in a sub, this got through. Oh, it was the thing Bill Gates with the fake meat that the government signed off over the weekend to start feeding us fucking fake meat.
Which, by the way, the science is in on that, and it uses even more CO2 to do the lab grown meat than it does
Right.
real meat. So it's as typical. Everything that they do is total BS. And even as we know, electric cars themselves, you know, they have to ravage the planet's resources to make the batteries for those things. And if you think it's doing the planet any good when those batteries are done, when they have to dispose of them, guess what? They're not.
Yeah. Well, you could shoot them up to the firmament, as I learned today, and they could hang up at the top.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. That's why learning traditional logic and critical thinking is so important. And that's why they're trying to dick that around in the schools from an early age and get you thinking about feelings instead of realities.
They got to get you early.
Yeah, they don't want you to have critical thinking. No. They don't want you to be able to dissect logical thought. Look, I ain't gonna lie. I came into Flat Earth Guy today, and you guys' thing, 1,050% disbeliever. My true thought was, this is going to be funny to listen to these guys talk for 2 hours about all this bullshit. I ain't going to lie. That's just the truth of it. And by the end of it, some of it makes me think I need to learn more about it. Right. And I'm not saying that I'm a believer or any of that kind of stuff. And certainly I'm definitely not religion guy. You know, I'm definitely not that. You know, but some of the stuff that you guys were talking about, that shit about the Brant Mountain or whatever that was, Mount Brant, and that you could see it. It's like 800 miles away, and he was showing the pictures from 800 miles away, and you know, and then the math that says, well, there should be this much, this much arc, and plus you're lower by this much, and you know, I mean, a lot of that made some sense. To where I was like,
they call our aircraft airplanes.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't call them air globes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of proofs that have been right there in front of us the whole time. Air travel for us, commercial travel, they go up about 35,000 feet. There's people that live here that have never been on a plane. I wasn't on a plane till I was 10, but that was another head scratching moment when I got up there and the ground looked completely flat. It looked like flat patches of like a puzzle on the ground. Like the cities looked like puzzle pieces. And I go, oh my God, I was expecting a ball kind of thing. The windows of an airplane are kind of circular. It could be kind of deceiving, but the plane thing. Now, when pilots go up, they reach 35,000 feet. They just maintain that altitude. They don't do any, I don't know why you would hear anything different than that. They are never compensating for the curvature. They would constantly be having to pull up if that were the case.
Yeah, you're right.
And if we were spinning, as silly as it sounds, you could go up with a helicopter and just wait for the Earth to the destination to reach you. It's flying 1,000 miles an hour. It would only take.
Yeah, I guess you could just go up and come back down.
But everybody says gravity, bro. Like gravity, like this magic sauce that you can smear on anything that just answers all these questions we have. You just don't think about it. It's just gravity, which gravity is a theory. For one, I mean, there's facts like, you know, temperature and buoyancy and density and things like that. But there's other explanations. And most of the time you'll find that what people think is their proof that there's certain things that can only happen on a globe. You can find that it works even better on a flat Earth. It makes even more sense.
Yeah. A lot of the study was talking about made sense. You know, the thing like you're saying right now, as an example, I mean, a plane flies what? 500 miles an hour?
Yeah, they even a little faster sometimes.
Okay, so let's say what's the fastest they can go? 600.
The commercial ones, they can punch. They can make
6?
up for lost time and hit 600. Yep.
But what you and Flat Earth Guy were saying is that the Earth is spinning at 6,000 miles an hour.
No, it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, whilst falling through space allegedly at 17,000 miles an hour. And we don't feel anything because gravity, bro.
Well, I'm just doing basic dumb fat guy math here.
Right.
If I'm going 600 miles an hour that way, and the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour this way.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get to my destination.
Bingo.
I'll never get there.
That's right.
You know, because I'll be losing 400 miles every hour. I'll be further back 400 miles if it's spinning.
Sure.
So, again, came into it as a total, you guys are full of shit, but this will be fun. And came out of it with like, Okay, there's stuff to think about here. And now I know between you and Flat Earth Guy, I'm going to get 4,000 more texts about.
Sure. Well,
read this, bro. Read that, bro.
Let me please give my recommendation for the most
Please
sane
do.
guy that you could listen to
Please
about
do.
it. And his name is Mark Sargent, and he's the first guy that finally let me know why I had all these questions my whole life. And that was in 2015 when he came out with a documentary called Flat Earth Clues.
Okay.
And this has been mirrored and shown a lot of times over the years and broken up. But he basically did, I want to say like 12 clues, and each one is a segment letting you kind of like wrap your head around the whole theory of the flat earth and how it came to be and why they hid the truth from it.
Right.
And at the end, he does have to, he has to mention that, hey, it appears this place was created by someone, a compassionate God, and everything we could ever want was here. Were there previous civilizations? Probably. Could the creator have made some enhancements and changes? I think definitely. The Tower of Babel, that story is amazing, where humanity got so smart and they decided to ravage all the Earth's resources and make a tower that went all the way to the firmament or the heavens to basically yell at God and say, we know what this place is. And they were actually achieving it. So the story goes that God had to do something. So he struck down the tower and he created all the languages and all the colors and made us as different as possible. And we all just scurried off into our own little tribes and just went with the people we understood. And he thought that'll set him back for a while. That'll keep the
nice
planetarium going a little longer.
Right. And it did so far. We're still going, but all right, let's move off of this for now, because otherwise we're going to get into a very long conversation that we already just had, so,
check out Seth Williams.
Yeah. Seth Williams, thesethwilliamsshow.com. And it's up. I can tell you for a fact that if you're a podcast person of CMS Network, it's already up. I put it up in between shows, so it's already there. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. It's on Odyssey. It's not on BitChute yet, but it's everywhere else. So if you're a fan, go check it out and
prove it.
And in addition to that, Seth and I started the show talking about my weekend, because it's rare that I have a weekend story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But I snuck out and was the security guard for Mr. Michael Franzese, capo regime to the Colombo family.
And Chris was photographed out in the wild.
I was.
Which is a rare occurrence.
I was. There's a picture of me out there in the woods, or not in the woods. I was actually just backstage, and there was trees behind me. But yeah, I went out and did that. And dude, I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories that I did not tell on the Seth show. But the first thing, and I never thought I would ever feel this, there are guys that you meet that you just get a feeling are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this guy is born again Christian. He is definitely Bible guy. He espouses the Bible during his talk. He says a lot of other stuff too, but he definitely got out of the life. He does. I believe him fully when he says he's not into gangster stuff anymore, any of that stuff. But when I met him in person, face to face for the first time, Michael Franzese, I got that chill down my back, man. Like, ooh, be careful. It wasn't run, but it was definitely be careful. It was really, really, really kind of like, wow.
Goodfellas vibes.
Well, and maybe it's just because I know what he's done, and I've watched a million of his podcasts, and I've interviewed him myself, and I've seen Goodfellas, and I've seen so much of this stuff that somewhere in my brain, I'm sure I associate it to pop culture of it.
Yeah.
But there was just a vibe. There was a vibe about him that was like, I could see in the 80s, if you saw this guy coming down the street, you kind of crossed the street. I could totally see that.
If you owed him money, you better pay it.
Yeah, exactly. And he was a guy that made a ton of money. He made billions of dollars with the gas ripoff, where he ripped off the tax from the gas stations, and he had like 350 gas stations. He said during his talk he was making between $10 and $12 million a week stealing gas tax.
Wow.
I was like, damn, that's good money. Like, I wouldn't mind working that just for a week. Just 1 week, I'd be good forever. But yeah, great time. I had a really, really fun time doing this thing. And it was a new experience, and I'm always up for that. I'm always up for a new experience and something that's, just outside of, I mean, dude, it's like you go and you did, and we will talk about it here in a second. You go out and you play 2 shows, you see bands and you see, people, and everybody's excited. And when you first get out on that stage, you got your heart beating 1,000 miles a minute and you got the stage juice,
hopefully.
Right? Well, yeah, really. But I mean, honestly, every time you get out there, that first notes or whatever, you got the stage juice going 100 miles an hour and you're rocking.
Right.
And that being said, it's probably not as exciting anymore as it was 22 years ago, the first time that you ever played a gig with Stephen or with Earshot or with whoever.
Right.
Back in your high school or college band, not college, but your after high school bands. I'm sure you still had that rush, that really hard rush when you first got out on stage. This was so new to me, to be out there and to be involved. I did not expect to be involved. I honestly thought when they asked me to be security that was kind of a, tip of the cap. You did a nice interview with us. We'd like you to be our guest. Mm-hmm. We'll have you walk him out to the stage, and that'll be my security detail. Hell no. They were like making me work. It was work, and it was work and just talking to these guys that are involved in that life or have been involved in that life or whatever. They're not fuck around guys. They're definitely not, hey, what's up, buddy? How are you? Good to see, They're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Very direct.
Very direct. And it just was, I mean, it was a different kind of fun, but it was a lot of fun. It was something really different to do. Plus I met a fucking mobster. How cool is that? I mean,
hopefully you're not on the FBI watch list now. Or
well, I think he's past that point. I hope. And if not,
they're fans of his, probably. That's the funny part. Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's old news at this point, but
right.
That was one of the weird things too, dude. When I first walked in, or I won't tell this story again, but basically, the security detail got kind of goofed up a little bit. Like I was supposed to meet him at the hotel. Our lines got crossed between me and the stage manager and the Michael's personal manager. Okay. Everything got a little goofed up. And so I ended up being in the green room, before Michael got there. And when I was in the green room, the cops come in and did a sweep of the room. And I was like, what the fuck am I in for here? And I mean, they did a sweep. They're like, who are you? Why are you in here? Where did you get that badge? Who gave it to you?
No, I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, they came in because this is a different world. Okay. This is a world where people end up blowing people up and shit. The mob.
Well, so then regardless of being retired, this is a very in the now thing that the police are aware of. They're present. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, well, they had cops there. I mean, they literally had and these cops were big. I wouldn't fuck with them. Mm-hmm. But these two cops came in and they did a full sweep of the room. Looking under the little.
Do you think they were on the clock, or because I've heard police getting hired off the clock to do stuff?
Well, if they were off the clock, they were still wearing uniforms. They were wearing their Lorraine PD uniforms. Look at this. Mm-hmm. Sounds like backstage at a Ferentino's. I don't think so.
Right.
Although they could probably bust you for pot.
They do a sweep for M&Ms.
Right. Or what are those candies that Steven used to eat all the time? The little square ones.
Pez.
No, the little square.
He'd wear like a Pez necklace and just chew on it.
I just remember the first time I met Stephen with you was it Jolly Ranchers or was
Starburst?
It Starbursts.
Yes.
And he had a 10-pound bag of Starbursts on the table, and he was eating them like he hadn't eaten dinner in a month. He was like,
I was embarrassed because we were playing a few weeks ago, and backstage was the biggest bowl of M&Ms I've ever seen. It was in Oklahoma. And it was, I don't know if it was for Steven Adler or if it was for our band. But I was going, wow, they're just going to leave there. It was like the size of like a goldfish bowl, and I ended up like putting it in my suitcase and taking it home. And that's the last thing that I should be doing, because I could eat M&Ms by the handful, Right. I finally gave them to Susan. I go, please take these. Please take them to work. Get them out of here. I can't have them here at all.
That's funny, man. Yeah, that's and I'm sure for you, it's like, this is the last thing you need to see backstage is something you actually want, because you're trying so hard to be like Salmon Guy and
not this weekend, but no, please let's finish talking about this gangster thing. I can talk about the show.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little later, but yeah, no. So we do the talk up for this gig, and this is a story I'll tell now, because I don't know if I could tell it on CMS or not. If you could believe that there's something I'm not sure I could tell on CMS, but. So Neely was there. Neely came out for this thing, which was very cool. It was great to see him. And not in conjunction with Neely, just happened to be the way this worked out. Neely's brother-in-law, biggest mob guy fan out there. I didn't know this at all. We call him Officer Jim on the show.
Okay.
And so Officer Jim was there. And Neely comes over and he finds me and he sits down and we're talking for a minute, and he's like, hey, do you think that we could hook Officer Jim up to meet Michael? And I was like, I don't know, it's not really my crowd. I was a little weird about, everybody, again, I can't stress this enough. These guys were super, super nice to me. So any fears or any of that kind of shit that I had are my own. They're just my own from watching way too many mafia movies. Not from anything at all. These guys were as normal and nice as anybody could be. That being said, I felt kind of weird asking for extra passes, because they already did hook me up too. They hooked me up for Neely. They hooked me up for my mom, who was a big mafia fan.
Again with these passes, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what am I going to do with you, Akin?
They hooked up Seth. They hooked up Seth's wife. Then they hooked up this guy Tony that goes to that does a segment on the Seth show with this. So they hooked up. He gave me $500 worth of tickets. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then Neely's like, hey, do you think we can get Officer Jim in? And I was like, let me see what I can do. Now, as the backstory, Officer Jim hates me. He does not like Chris Akin. And I think Neely he said as of yesterday, I'm off the hate list. Good. But literally, I was on the hate list, not the dislike list, because I dropped a C-bomb on his wife. She called in one night drunk. I was drunk, or maybe I was, I don't remember. I don't want to say that and then make that as an excuse. That's not why I said it. She got mouthy with me. I was being me on the CMS. I dropped a C-bomb on her. The husband got mad. As you can imagine.
Her honor. Yeah,
pretty much. And we really haven't spoken that was like 4 or 5 years ago, I think now, because it was before the pandemic. Okay. So it was a while ago. But so it was like, all right, maybe this will get me off the hate list if I can find a way to get passes. So I text my guy, Chris McNeil, and I was like, hey, can you hook me up with a couple of extra just in case? I got these friends here and it would be such a big help if you could, whatever. No answer. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see how we can work this. So I asked Seth, I said, we had that guy Tony that we got on the list. Mm-hmm. And Seth had told me that Tony probably wasn't going to bring his wife.
Okay.
But he wanted me to get him a ticket and a pass for his wife in case he did. So I did. I said, hey, did Tony get his extra pass? Seth hit me back, said, yeah. So I said, all right, I can get. So I got one. And I told Neely, I said, best I could do, I got you one. I got you one pass for Officer Jim. And, you know, his sister's going to have to kind of hang back. But if she comes up with me, I'll, you know, try and get her in, you know, because I'm working security. I could have got anybody in.
Right.
So that was my thought, was I could get him in. And if I got him in, then at least she could stand with Officer Jim up until he takes the picture. You know, might not have got to take the picture, but I didn't think that was a problem. She didn't give a shit about Michael Franzese. So I worked it out. And then my friend Adam, another one that I got a ticket for and a pass, he decided he didn't want to wait for the meet and greet, and he gave me the other pass, so we gave it to Neely's sister. So we got it all hooked up.
Okay.
So
it was a ticket and a pass, and so you were able to split up the things to utilize them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we get them in. When the meet and greet starts, it's absolute chaos because there's pass people and there's VIP ticket holders, and the VIP ticket holders got a book signed where the pass holders didn't get a book. So I'm being security guy. I'm trying to get people in and in line, and you know, if you're this pass, go to this line. If you're that pass, go to that line. And I'm running people around, and Chris McNeil, the other guy, he's running people around, and this other guy, Dean, we're all running around trying to get people set up. And then at one point I'm trying to do some security because a bunch of idiots are messing with Michael, not messing with, but harassing Michael Francese's wife.
You had to step in and do it.
I just kind of got between these idiots and her, and I was like, go get in line. You know, I was just like, go get in line. You know, I didn't have to push anybody or nothing. I mean, it wasn't like that. I didn't even have to raise my voice, but it was one of those, I just saw the way where she was sitting was right when you came in. So I had to I just got in between them. And I said to her, do you want me to get these guys out of your hair? And she gave me one of these, you know, like kind of yes, but not saying yeah, because she didn't want to be the asshole, but sort of yeah, you know. So I just kind of move it along, you know, and I kind of stood in between and moved them. So in any event, Neely comes through, Seth comes through, and Seth has the fake leg. So at some point, Seth had texted me, and he's like, dude, I cannot stand in this line for 2 hours with the fake leg. I was like, all right. I was like, I'll come and get you, and I'll take you to the green room. So I take Seth to the green room and his wife, and I get them in the green room to just kind of sit back. And then at some point, Neely comes over with his brother-in-law and his sister, and they were still waiting to get their stuff signed too. So I said, I see Jim, and I'm like, hey, man, how are you? And cold as an ice cube. It was shook my hand, but didn't even say hello.
He's like, Aiken.
Yeah, and the, you know, and Neely's sister didn't even say hello to me either, you know, but I was like, all right, whatever, you know, but I made my point to this whole story is I made a real effort to without apologizing, because I don't do that, you know, to kind of say, hey, let's let that go. You know, let's let it go. I tried to hook you up. I did hook you up. And Neely texted me yesterday and said, yeah, you're off the hate list with Officer Jim. So,
good to hear.
I remade a friend, or an acquaintance, I'll say. I don't know that we're friends yet, but.
And in the back of your mind, it probably feels better to know you squashed some kind of beef.
Yeah, well, because I didn't think it was a thing anyway, really.
Yeah.
I really, truly did not think it was a thing when it happened. I just knew. I mean, I say cunt a lot, just generally.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's not the horrible C word. You know, it's just it's fucking cunt. You know, whatever. You know, it just rolls off my tongue a lot of the time. So I just rolled with it, and it just came out of my mouth in the middle of. I mean, you know, anybody that's heard the CMS knows. CMS is all just whatever happens.
Yeah.
You know, and we were riffing and it came out of my mouth. So, but yeah, I felt like, okay, well, I did squash this, which is good because I don't need retired Officer Jim to kill me.
Yeah. That's true.
You know, but yeah, the mob, the Michael Franzese, I don't want to keep calling him a mobster because he hasn't been in 30 years or whatever. He's been out since.
Retired made man.
Well, he's one of two that I know of. The only two that got out and didn't die is him and Sammy the Bull.
And he didn't require any witness relocation,
No.
anything. He just retired from it, and nobody
there's
comes
no
after
retiring from it. There was a
Right.
there was a bounty on his head forever. There was I think he said $250,000 bond on his head to whoever killed him for years. But he was
Was he a recluse back then when that was going on?
He told the story during the show that he ended up doing his jail time in Lompoc out your way.
Okay.
And when he did that, when he got out, he stayed in California, as far away from New York as you could possibly be, you know, so he was away from all of the mob guys that were still left, you know, from the five families. He was all the way away. And he said what he said, and he knows more than me, but he said that there's not really any real mob presence, and there never really has been in California. California, the only mob presence is the onesie-twosies that invaded the entertainment world.
Right.
You know, the overseers that got into the movie world and the music world, but there was not like mob setup that took over the beaches or something or whatever. Whatever you would take over in California. So yeah, so that's my story over the weekend, man. We did a little mob stuff and it was fun and good times.
So now you could say, hey, I know some people.
Well, now I can say I'm a mob enforcer.
That's right.
I did mob enforcement. I did it well, I guess. And he's going to bring some great guests back to the show for some other stuff. And I'll tell him, I don't care. I'm no surprises here. He's going to bring us Chaz Palminteri to the show, which that's pretty solid. That's a Bronx Tale. If you've seen a Bronx Tale,
right? Yeah.
And he's going to bring us Joe Pistone, who's the guy that they made Donnie Brasco about.
I thought you were going to say Joe Piscopo.
No, not Joe Piscopo. Joe Pistone.
Baby, don't hurt me no more.
So yeah, we're
Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, doing all that goofy shit. So yeah, it was a good weekend. Good time to be out, and
glad to get you out of the house, Chris. That's good, man.
Well, dude, it was I will say this: it was the longest time that I've done on this goddamn shoulder. That was a bonus. Was that the longest time in 5 months, I think I've been dealing with this shoulder pain. Right. That was the longest I had been out of bed, 8 straight hours in 5 months. I've been having to, and I really haven't talked about it on any of the shows, but I kind of have to be up for an hour or two and then lay down for an hour or two to let it settle back down because it's been a lot of pain. And the only time I've done any sort of a longer time was about a month ago when I went and saw our guests tonight, Pissing Razors. I went out and saw them about a month ago in a club, but I literally called the club, found out exactly what time they were playing. I've been to the club 100 times, so I knew exactly what time to leave to get there and get parked and get in.
Right.
I literally got there, got parked, wasn't there 5 minutes, and they hit the stage. Boom. Hit the stage. They played their set, played an hour or whatever, and I left. Just boom, right back in the car and right back home. And that was the longest I had put on my shoulder, which was about 3.5 hours. And I died. I absolutely died in pain. And I ain't gonna lie, I died in pain on Sunday all day yesterday. I was eating aspirin like it was Pez.
Oh, bummer.
I mean, it definitely was hurting, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I got things I want to do. You know, I got a Pantera show coming up in a month.
What about CBD stuff? I'm hearing good things, man. On some of it's kind of a little spendy, but there's some ointments that are like a mix of CBD and the other stuff to get you high too.
Yeah, I mean,
but you rub it on there, it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I haven't tried it. I'm weird about pain things because my problem with the pain stuff is I'm such an addict that if I do pain stuff, I'll keep doing it.
Well, this is like a topical ointment, you know.
Yeah, well, that I would try.
You don't snort it or smoke it.
No, that I would try, but you know, leaning in on a pot pen or something, on a a vape or something like that.
No, I'm not saying
I'd be smoking pot all day, every day.
Not at all.
Within a month.
That. This is a cream. This is a cream. This is actually, when it's the CBD one, it's not even, I don't think, an illegal thing, but it's, some people are saying it helps their muscles and arms and, sore areas. So something to maybe try sometime. If somebody has some and would let Chris try it, you should send it to him.
Yeah. I mean, or I'll buy it. I used to take this. I used to buy the CBD gummies. And I just ate them to eat them like during the day, just because. Why not?
How did those do it? Did those help at all?
They were. I wasn't even really taking them for pain. I just liked them.
Okay.
I just liked them, and they mellowed me out a little bit, so I was taking them. But yeah, they.
Because those aren't supposed to get you high either.
No, they didn't get me high. They just mellowed me out a little bit, and and that was good. But I just kind of, I don't take pain meds pretty much ever. The problem is when I was going through the burn thing, I was eating Percocets like they were candy. I mean, I was just eating them by the hand, to the point that my doctor took me off them because he thought I was selling them. Because because I lived so far from the hospital, he gave me just unlimited refills.
Okay.
And I was supposed to use a bottle a month, and I was using a bottle like every 3 days. And the doctor literally asked me at one point, he's like, "Are you selling this stuff?
Right.
Tell me honestly." I was like, "No, I'm just taking them by the handfuls." He's like, "That's it for you. Tylenol 3s for 2 weeks and then aspirin."
Were you sick when you had to stop taking them? Did it?
Not too
or were you
bad.
able to just do
Dude,
the Tylenols?
I was still a wreck from the burns. So.
Right. Okay.
I'm texting Corabi's guy right now because he is not here. No, John. Can you text him? Question mark.
My dad I heard from, and he just had a kneecap replacement surgery, and he sent me a picture, and he was like sitting in his house holding a medicine bottle of some kind of pain management stuff. But when you have something like that done, you have to take that. You have a surgery like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's because I'm an idiot. John's coming on at 9:00.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
All right. So much for that.
Well, my backdrop tonight are a bunch of razors for the Pissing Razors guys.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I thought that looked pretty metal.
There they are. The Pissing Razors guys.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm such a fan. You don't know them at all, do you?
I'm not that familiar, but you're going to play some of their music right tonight.
I am.
And their show was good that you saw recently.
Dude, let me tell you about Pissing Razors real quick.
Okay.
I'll give this story right now, and then I'll tell more when they're on, because I am.
All right.
I am just a giant fan. They came out in the mid-90s, and when they came out in the mid-90s, I thought they were going to be the band that was mega huge in between Pantera records. So Pantera put out a record, and that would be good for a year. And then you know how there's always like a wedge band? Yeah. There's like a band that's not as successful, but they're really, really good.
Sure.
Like Fear Factory would be one of those bands that would be like between Rob Zombie or White Zombie releases. You'd get a White Zombie record that was really, really good. And then you would have Fear Factory, which was also really, really good, but not as good or not as popular. So it would have like a 6-month window. And then by the time that 6-month window was over, then the main band would be back. That's what I thought Pissing Razors were going to be, because they sound like Pantera a lot. Just very, very influenced by Pantera. So I loved them from day one. As you're well aware, Pantera, my favorite band ever.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go see them back, and they would come through Cleveland a lot. And I saw them quite a few times in Cleveland, playing at the old Peabody's, and playing in front of like 100 people or whatever. It didn't matter. What I remember most is they had a camper van, like an old camper van, and it had the big old Texas horns on the front. Oh, so they'd come driving into town with the Texas horns on the front of their van. It was fucking hysterical, but they were the real deal back then. And they've never left my playlist ever. All these years later, they broke up for a while, and then they got back together. They had singer changes, and now the original guy is back. But they've had all kinds of band stuff that bands do have, the breakups, the lineup changes, all that stuff. They came back in 2021 with a new album. And it just fucking ripped my face off again. And I was like, yes, this is fantastic. And believe it or not, I have been trying to get them on even before. I was trying to get Pissing Razors to do Chris Akin Presents before you joined the show even. I was just trying to get an interview set up with them, and I didn't know anybody in the camp. So I was just doing it the BS way. Throw a message on Facebook or whatever, throw a message on Twitter. And then finally, what ended up happening is whoever managed one of their pages checked it after like 8 months or something and found my request for an interview, passed it on, and now we got the interview set up. But I am personally so stoked to have Pissing Razors on. Look, last week I'm going to say was a little more of an Erik Ferentinos week, because the bands are more in your line last week. I nothing against either band. I thought I liked both bands, and they were both great last week on the show. But this is a Chris Akin week. These Pissing Razors, one of my favorite heavy bands ever. John Corabi might be my favorite singer of all time. Hell, I wrote this book right here about John Corabi.
Wow.
I am all the way in. Corabi is literally one of those guys for me that if he was singing the phone book, I'd be right there going 219-314. I'd be right there singing with him, because I would be all in on anything that guy does, and I have been. With the Scream, with Motley, with the solo stuff. He had a few other bands before that I have them in my collection.
Now he's back with Dead Daisies.
He was doing Dead Daisies, and we're definitely going to talk about this. He was doing Dead Daisies. They were right on the cusp of kind of jumping into that next level. I mean, they were right there. They were getting the right tours. They were touring with Kiss, and they were touring with, they were really right there. And then they switched from John to Glenn Hughes. And then the pandemic hit on top of that. I don't want to say it was I don't know that you could say it's a bad move when you replace one guy with a Hall of Fame guy. Right. I don't think, and I love Glenn too, so I don't even want to say that those records weren't good, because they're great. But I just was like, man, they killed their moment. And I asked David Lowy this, 2 weeks ago. I asked him about the momentum, and he agreed with me. He was like, yeah, it definitely lost the momentum that they had been building. And, in hindsight, he wouldn't commit to, in hindsight, he wouldn't do it. But he's a billionaire business guy. The last thing he's going to do is throw anybody under the bus. He's not stupid, Yeah. But I did ask him the question, and he was like, well, now John's back. He kind of went with that. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I can't wait to hear what they're going to do. I've loved the Dead Daisies, the albums that John's done with them. I love the ones Glenn did. Hell, I like the one John Stevens from INXS did with him. So I'm in on the Dead Daisies.
I didn't know that happened. That went down. The guy who did the Rockstar NXS sang on a Dead Daisies record.
First album.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
the very first one was him, I believe. And then John came in for Revolution.
Is it too early to hear some of that?
No, we can play some of it.
Like I just want to hear the because I love NXS and I followed that Rockstar when they were looking for the guy, and
that's fine.
That's kind of interesting to me.
Let me find Dead Daisies, John Stevens. See what we can find here. Videos. Dead Daisies with John Stevens. All right. Let's pull this up. Presents. Share my screen. And here we go. Here's some of it with John Stevens.
Okay. All right. All right.
John Stevens, and it's not bad.
That's the guy that played with that won the contest and got to play with NXS.
I think so. Maybe I don't know.
He looks a lot different.
Maybe that's not the guy.
And then I'm looking at the guy who plays in GNR now on guitar.
Yeah, that what's that? Richard Fortis.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only been like 640,000 people that have been in the Dead Daisies. There's a lot of name guys that have been in the Dead Daisies. Dead Daisies have had, let's see, Marco Mendoza was in there, Dean Castronovo was in there, Aldridge is in there now, Corabi, Glenn Hughes.
Mm-hmm. Sound like they were going for like a Black Crowes thing there.
On that, but they're different now.
Right.
You know, let's find Dead.
Sounded like Hard to Handle.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was getting Hard to Handle vibes off that one.
Daisies, Corabi.
Yeah, I bet you this is going to be way better.
Yeah, it is definitely way. Here, I'll play a cover. You want to hear a cover? You want to hear an original? I'll play an original.
Yeah.
I'll play Long Way to Go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Guns and bombs, blood on the floor, killing ourselves and there ain't no cure. No. Maybe tomorrow, maybe today. No more enemies, no more anarchy, just more suffering. We got a long way to go, and now time to get there. One step forward, two step back. There ain't nobody to blame.
So that's what they sound like now. It's very different from what they started off doing.
Right. Well, his voice sounds really great on that.
Yeah, he's dude. Again, that's a guy could sing anything. I'll listen to it. I just think he is. I don't know, the next version of Steven Tyler for me.
Right. I was one of the people that actually was liked the MC94
Yeah,
when it came out.
I
was
love
like,
it.
this sounds freaking amazing.
Yeah.
You know, especially the production and everything on it. So
it's
I was
the only
cool with
Motley
it.
record I still listen to. It's the
And I
only
love
one.
the Scream too.
Yeah, Scream was great too. I mean, dude, he's great. He has not, to me, he hasn't done a bad record. His acoustic record is great.
Yeah.
You know, he has a song called Crash, which I'm going to play if he shows up. But he has a song called Crash that I actually pulled a Monsters of Rock Cruise video of him singing it because it's like my favorite tune that he's ever done. But it's the only video I could find of him doing it. So, you know, but that song was like, it came out, the acoustic album came out in 2012, like right when I was going through my divorce, and Crash is about a divorce. So it was kind of like
It was like a wedding crash? Wedding Crashers?
No, like a She Broke My Heart song. Look at
I thought it was about sneaking into weddings.
But is he better than Vince Neil? You still playing gigs with Vince Neil?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
No comment. No comment.
So.
I think they're both capable singers. They're
totally
singers.
different singers.
Let me answer this question. Jackal wanted to know what club was Pissing Razors in. They were in the Foundry over in Lakewood. That is where they played. So, yeah. So Corabi, he's out on tour right now, being solo guy. He's out playing with Kip Winger, and with what's his name? Cinderella.
Mm-hmm. Tom
Keifer.
Keifer.
Yeah, Tom Keifer. Which Kiefer's doing like all Cinderella songs now.
Yeah,
and I don't blame him.
There's never going to be an original lineup again. Sadly,
Yeah.
that guitarist passed away.
But it's funny that he does have 2 albums, and I think he's playing one song off of the 2 records, maybe 2, and the whole rest of the set is all Cinderella.
Well, as the years go by, these promoters start pushing that too, and it's like you want to ask for a certain amount of money, you got to deliver what they want, and that's the Cinderella hits. We're in the same boat.
Yeah, that's
Gotta play
it.
mostly Rat stuff, and I remember promoters coming and demanding that and making sure it wasn't going to be something different at times.
I'm curious on this. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but is Stephen okay with that? Or if he had his druthers, forget the money. If
Right.
money was, if he had $100 million in the bank, if he was Bon Jovi level, or Metallica level financially, would he be Metallica level on playing arcade and all his, songs that make him happy versus versus what he has to do now, which is kind of, you got to give the promoters pretty much what they're buying, which is fine.
It took a long time. He to answer your question, he did not want to do that. He initially, it's my opinion that it appeared he wanted to save most of the Rat hits to play with the band Rat.
Okay,
he wanted there to be a difference between seeing Rat and seeing him live. It wasn't that he was trying to undercut them. There were 2 different animals to him for a long time. And his motto was anything goes at the solo shows. Okay. And so he liked to be able to play an array of songs from his, whether it was Vertex, Arcade, solo records, covers that he grew up listening to. He wanted it to be something more along those lines. But, over the years, people would whine about it, or they'd be wanting to hear, they'd be yelling out for songs we weren't playing. And little by little, to appease the crowd, you start slipping in some more of the old ones. Eventually he was out playing with Rat again. So the fans were getting, their Rat fix for a while. But here we are, we're all older. Time has marched on. Yeah. And you can't be too big of an a-hole about it. You gotta make everybody happy.
And you know what, dude? And I get this from doing the shows now. And what always drives me nuts, like even with the CMS fans requesting songs. And I mean, it drives me fucking bonkers, is the CMS fans will request songs, and it'll be a request for, if it's Rat, it's Wanted Man, or it's Round and Round, or it's, Lay It Down. And it's like, all right, I know those are hits, but to me, as a much more hardcore fan, those are the songs I'm fine if I never hear again. For me personally, the best time I've ever seen Stephen perform, and I've seen 20 20 some original Rat shows, and I've seen you play with him at least 5 times. At least 5 times. And the best time I saw was the one that you played at the Kent stage here.
Okay.
When me and you met for the first time.
All right.
Because you guys were not sticking to the Rat schedule. You were playing Aerosmith covers. I think you played Nothing to Lose from Arcade. You know, you guys were really Priest. Yeah, you were playing Judas Priest. You were playing like a bunch of different stuff. Yeah. And it was a party. It felt like a party. Where Rat, to me, even the original lineup of Rat was a very formulaic live experience. You sort of knew, maybe the songs changed in order a little bit,
right?
But they played pretty much the same songs. And I think, and this is more of a Warren thing than a Stephen thing, but I think Warren knew what the fans wanted to hear, which was note perfect to the record. And Warren did that a lot. Warren really, most of the times that I saw him, he would nail those solos like he did on the records. You know, they might be in a different tuning because of Stephen's voice or whatever you guys changed tuning.
Certainly in the early days he was. I mean, I think later after the band took a big hiatus and he had some years had gone in between, he kind of had more fun with it or just took the liberties that he's totally allowed to do.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, I get it. I certainly get it, but I think when they were trying to be the biggest band in the world, like everybody was back in those 80s, one of the ways that you became the biggest band, I saw all those bands in those early 80s, the Bon Jovis, Rats, all those bands. I saw them all, and every single one of them was, you know, when they were trying to be the biggest band in the world, they tried to sound exactly like their records so that people would be very comfortable with what they were getting fed, you know, so.
Right.
All right, well, let's do this. Mr. Corabi is in the green room waiting for us as we speak. All right. Why don't we do this? I am going to play a little bit of one of his tunes, my favorite tune that he's ever done, and then we will be back with John Corabi right here on Chris Akin Presents.
The words went on the rim, took me by surprise. She let me down before I thought we found a way. Jesus, can you help me find something to say? She's giving up, she's letting go. Did she walk away from love to the arms of another? She's letting go, and I'm broken hearted, baby. Reaching out for him as the world stops crashing down again. I sat down at the table.
All right, we are back. That was John Corabi from the album Unplugged. That was Crash. And here to talk all about not that album, I'm assuming, but about his tour that he's on right now and about the Dead Daisies and about just everything going on. It's this guy right here. It's Mr. John Corabi. What is up, sir?
Great to see you, John.
Cannot hear you, my friend. Cannot hear you. I don't know why. Oh, he's out. He's going to come back.
Okay.
Try again. But there he was.
That looked like a Monsters of Rock cruise footage there.
He's probably backstage at a gig.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
There
we go.
Is. There he is. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. This whole streaming thing, it's weird. It was working fine. I could hear you guys say, I'm going to play another song or play a song, and then we're going to bring John on, and it just went, whoop, no sound.
Well, we got you now, which is great, man. So, John,
are
you're
you there? I just lost you again.
No, we're here. We're here. Hello.
He's a little locked up.
Damn it.
But at least it locked up where he looks cool. It's like he wasn't like, you know.
Right.
There he goes.
He's on the move.
Better lighting too.
Can you hear us? Nope. Well, this is...
He'll find a spot. He's good.
We'll find a
He's
spot,
looking for
yeah.
somewhere where he's got more bars.
Yeah,
I'm just stoked he showed up. That's good.
I am too. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can.
Can hear you, can see you. Can you hear us? No. Damn it.
I think he put the phone in his guitar case.
Locked up again. Damn it. I love live TV, live radio, whatever this is. Well, we'll get him here in a second.
It happens to the best of us.
I know. It's
At least we didn't get stood up again because my
That's
heart
true.
couldn't take it, man.
Let's try this again.
here we are.
I
Don't
know what's
move.
going on. Everything's fine, and then it just shuts off. It's weird.
Don't move. We'll try and get through here. Well, dude, it's great to talk to you once again, man. You're obviously on the road out there with Winger and with Tom Keifer. How's that going?
It's been great. We're just kind of getting started. We've done maybe 6 or 7 shows. We're playing in Long Island tomorrow, so we all have a day off today. But we're hitting pretty much the entire East Coast, and then we're heading west. And I do this till August 18th, and then I do laundry on the 19th, and the 20th I head out into Daisyland.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. So let's talk a little bit about let's talk about the old days first. I want to show you a picture. If you can see us on the screen.
Yep.
I'm going to show you a picture that is not going to do either one of us any favors, me or you. But this is a picture of you and I in 1990, whatever Union was.
Ish.
Yeah, whatever Union was. Neither one of us is recognizable. Me with my horrible mullet, you with your your gas station attendant suit on. But let's see if you remember this. Do you remember this horrible picture?
Chris, is that a mullet?
It sure is. It's awful.
Awesome.
That is an impressive mullet, my friend. And
That
an
is-
impressive gas station suit.
That is it. And you had like the goggles or something on the top.
I don't know. I don't know what I got going on there. I can't really see it that well, but I do remember that gas station suit. That was my getting ready to drive probably 18 hours to the next gig suit.
Right.
So
Too
that
funny.
that is definitely an impressive mullet. I can see
Yeah.
that clearly.
It's the horror of my life. It really is. but whatever. We all did things we're not super proud of, and that haircut was definitely one of them. But
Yeah, and you know what's even crazier is that it's actually coming back.
oh, not on this head. No, it
Yeah.
ain't.
Business in the front, party in the back.
Right.
Yeah, my wife is a hairstylist, and she's telling me that all these guys now are coming in and like, yeah, man, I want a mullet. And she's like, what? No, I am not doing this.
Mm-hmm. It's like asking for a bad tattoo or something, like where the artist refuses.
Right.
Yeah. No regrets.
Nice. And one other quick question, then we will get into your real stuff. You obviously have a book out, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, which is a great read. People should definitely check it out and read it, and we will talk about that a little bit. But I don't know if you even remember this, but several years ago, I wrote a book about the 94 record. And it's right here. If you can see it.
Somebody gave it to me.
I mailed it to you. You gave me your wife's address to the beauty salon, and I mailed it to you.
Yes.
But I get probably, whenever you're on tour, I get 20, 30 pictures a tour of people holding this book and asking you to sign it. So I guess my question is this book driving you insane that you have to keep signing this thing that you really, really didn't write? Oh,
it's all good, dude. I'm pretty easygoing. I'll sign just about anything
Right.
that anybody puts in front of me. You know what I mean? Except for a check or a penis, but whatever.
An Out of the Cellar record?
No, it was funny because I saw it and I'm like, somebody showed it to me. They're like, oh, dude, this book. And you sent it to me and I looked at it and I kind of forgot about it. And,
Right.
I started signing them again. And I'm like, oh, that's right. That's, yeah. They're like, what do you think of the book? And I'm like, it's great. Somebody's acknowledging the 94 album. I just appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to get you to sign one here in 3 weeks when you're here in Cleveland or in Akron.
Okay.
Because I don't have one signed yet, so I need to get one signed. So,
well, I will do that.
Very good, man. Well, dude, let's talk about the obvious, hugest news in your world right now. Back to the Dead Daisies. When you left, it seemed like it didn't seem bad, but it seemed like you were not real happy at the time. Obviously, it seems like things are better. Yes?
No, I can't say that I wasn't. It wasn't that I wasn't happy. I loved being in the band. I thought the music we did was, it was great tunes. It was a fun vibe. It was just those, and not to sound weird, but the Daisy, when I joined the Daisies and we did that first album, something happened and it just started to explode. And we started it was like do a record, immediately go out on tour. And it was like tons of touring. I mean,
right.
it was really crazy. So from a scheduling point of view, it was a little maniacal. And I just started to feel burnt out.
Okay.
We would do a record, and you have to remember, because of everybody's schedules, most of the time we did a record, we would go into the studio with really just some riff ideas, no completed songs, but we would usually write, record, mix, master, do all the artwork in 3 to 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So that was pressure. And then immediately go into press mode and then tour.
Right.
And it was it started to become, and it wasn't just me, it was everybody. Everybody was really burnt out that last tour that we did. And I just felt like everybody was starting to walk on eggshells around each other. We were just tired.
Right.
And I told the guys I wanted to get off the carousel for a minute. My son was obviously in my ear too, telling me I sucked on a daily basis.
Oh.
Yeah, he moved to Nashville to be in my solo band, and we weren't doing squat.
Right.
So I took a break. In 2019, I was busier than shit. I had a ton of solo gigs. I went out with my son. We played in Australia. We did some stuff in Canada, South America, and then we did do some shows in America as well. But then COVID hit, and I remained good friends with David Lowy. We were always constantly sharing joke memes to each other.
Sure.
I was always talking to Doug, Dean. I still talk to, Dean quite often.
Sure.
Richard Portis, everybody. So there was no real bad blood. It was just I was tired. And I think now with me coming back, we've all kind of realized we had a good thing going. The band was kicking ass. We want to get out. We want to tour. We want to do records, but we've all kind of figured out how to do it in a fun manner where we don't kill ourselves
Right.
in the process. And that was a big thing for me. I was just concerned about my voice.
Right.
Again, if you break a guitar string or a drum head, it can be changed. I can't do anything if I blow out my voice. And there was,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were doing acoustic sets and 2-hour sets a night, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days in a row. And I remember one day we did 2 festivals on one day.
Okay.
And this is getting maniacal.
Right.
If it was up to you, John, how many shows would you play a year with these guys? If it was like, John, tell us how many you want. How many you want?
No, it's not about how many in a year. It's just I'll play all the time. I don't care. The thing for me was like I think one of the things was I had to go away from the Dead Daisies, catch my breath, and then really sit and look at it, especially through the COVID years. Like I had to sit and look at the positives of that band. And I think, to be honest with you, having somebody like Glenn Hughes, who's amazing, come into the band. But Glenn set he set some ground rules. He said, like, I'm gonna do 2 shows and I need a day off.
Okay.
And I think now they've kind of figured out that maybe I was a little overworked, and I've kind of figured out. So the separation did everybody good. And when I sat down and I had dinner with David Lowy, that was the first thing that David said to me. He goes, look, I want to go out. I want to have some fun again with you. But I don't want to kill ourselves and burn ourselves out to the point like we were doing before. And I go, count me in. I'm in. Like, that's all I need to hear. You know what I mean?
So you didn't have like an actual, this is what I'm willing to do, because let's face it, part of the reason that you were playing like that was because the band was rising. The band was right on the cusp of jumping to that next level with Burn It Down. And that's when you guys were going 100 miles an hour.
Right. And, it was just, I just remember being at the Roxy in LA and looking around the room, and Marco was tired, and Dean was burnt out, Doug was burnt out, the management was burnt out. And it was probably over, I don't even remember what it was, but I had like a minor hissy fit backstage, and I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm done. I got to get off of this carousel for a minute and catch my breath. And there was no bad blood. They were like, okay, all right, if that's what you want to do, you know what I mean? It's always been kind of an open door policy way with the collective. So, you know what? We're all older now. We're wiser. And, like I said earlier, I've learned to appreciate, I've learned to appreciate a lot of things about the Dead Daisies, and I think that they've learned to appreciate a lot of things about John Corabi. So I had dinner with David Lowy, and we just said, he said, do you want to come back? And
Okay.
Just burnt.
Right.
Burnt out.
So who made the initial contact? Were they thinking about moving away from Glenn and they called you, or did you want to get back so you called David and said, hey, let's sit down for dinner? Who made that move?
No, I think it was just, I don't know what the situation with Glenn, if he said, I'll come here for 2 years or 3 years, or I don't know what his agreement was with that. But from everything I've been able to believe, he decided that he wanted to get back out with Black Country, and he wanted to go out and he wanted to do Deep Purple shows again.
Right.
And just be boss. You know what I mean? So it was so weird because Glenn made an announcement that doing Deep Purple shows, and bands like that.
We're losing you, John. We lost
My cat
your
knocked into something.
We lost your audio.
Okay, I don't know why.
No, you're good.
Oh, there you are. Now there you are.
Oh, maybe my hand was on the bottom of the phone, but
Okay.
I think Glenn he made an announcement that he was going back to do the Deep Purple shows.
Right.
And all the fans started reaching out to me. And then shortly after that, David Lowy called me And he said, I want to come to Nashville and I want to have dinner with you. And okay, so we got together, we had a nice steak dinner, a couple cocktails, and we just sat and we started bullshitting and laughing about a bunch of stuff. And he said, I would love for you to come back if you're up for it. And I said, yeah, and then, like I said, he told me right out of the gate that they're going to tour, but they've kind of figured out like how to maximize the touring in spurts where it's go out for like 3 weeks or a month and then come home and rejuvenate and then get back out again. So I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Because, I mean, we were literally, like, we would do a record in a month, and then we were gone, like, months on end. And it was just a lot, so all good, dude. It's all I know is I'm excited to be back. We got together a couple weeks ago and rehearsed, and it sounded awesome. We immediately fell into the, the joking and the kidding around with each other, and we got right into that. And, so it was like I never left. It was awesome.
So you guys are I know you said that you're gonna get back into Daisies mode, later next month. Is that to make a record? Is that, I know you have tour dates, but is that for touring, or is that to kick some ideas around, or what?
No, I mean, to be honest with you right now, dude, like, we're doing some obvious songs from John Stevens, Glenn Hughes era. We're doing a bunch of my stuff, but some of these songs, like, we're all learning again. Songs like I'm trying to think of one offhand. Make Some Noise. Yeah, they never played that with Glenn, so it was like get into the room and go, what did I do there? Oh yeah, right. So right now we're just really focused on promoting the new record, the best of, and just really kind of blowing the dust off of a lot of this material and putting a kick-ass show together. And to be honest with you, the hardest part for me is trying to figure out how to sing Glenn stuff in a manner that kicks ass and the song still has the integrity. Obviously, I sound nothing like Glenn Hughes. Right. So I just want to make sure that whatever I sing, I do it justice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So right now, it's like we did 1 week of rehearsals about a month ago. And I have a little break in this Tom and Winger tour mid-July. So I'm going to fly out to New York, do another week of rehearsals, and then finish the tour, and then immediately go up, and hopefully we'll have the set all sorted, kick ass, and I come back, I can study while I'm on the road, and then just get right on the road and start having fun again.
Very good, man. Well, dude, let's talk about let's transition to the book a little bit, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. As someone that writes books, and I write about myself, which is much different than you, obviously, but it is incredibly hard to put personal stuff in a book. Not so much to write it, but to let people hear it, and let people make judgments about what you say or think. And you certainly don't shy away from that, man. Was that something that you ever worried about? Or, hey, I can't tell this story, or I shouldn't tell that one? Or did you just say, fuck it, I'm doing it?
Well, there was a few that obviously Paul helped me immensely with the book, Paul Miles. Mm-hmm. And I had told him some stories. And then when he kind of put it into like a rough book form, and there was a few where I sat back and I read it and I went, yeah, maybe I shouldn't tell that story about my second life. Whatever. So there was a few that I pulled out of it, but you know what, dude? I'm an open book. I don't really give a shit. Like, I really, truly, firmly believe that you wake up every day, you try to do your best, try and get through the day without, intentionally, keyword, screw anybody over. And if you do, you apologize, you know, and I don't really have any regrets. There's some dumb shit that I did when I was young. And, but, you know, half of the shit that I've done made me who I am today. And I don't really, you know, whatever, there it is. It's like, here, read this. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't care. I didn't overthink it.
Okay, makes sense. Well, here's one thing I'm curious if you regret, and I don't know, I don't know if you do or not, but do you regret that you've all of a sudden become part of this whole Motley Crue nonsense again? Which, you know, you haven't been in the band in a zillion years. I mean, love the record. There's 20 million of us, of which I guess only 1% bought the record, but there's 20 zillion that call it the greatest record ever. But now you seem to have gotten sucked back into the whole Motley Mick Mars thing. And I know it's probably just you sticking up for your friend, but do you wish that you had just kind of been like, yeah, that's none of my business anymore?
No, you know, honestly, dude, I've dealt with the criticisms. You know, I've dealt with the. You know, it's funny. It's like I'll do an interview to promote, you know, a new song that I have or a new record that I'm doing with the Dead Daisies or a new tour or whatever. Mm-hmm. And somebody will ask me a question. Again, I'm an open book. You got a question, I'll answer it. The only time I'll give anybody any shit about anything is if the entire interview tends to be about a certain thing. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, seriously, I have a new song out. I have a new book or a new record or whatever. Like, I don't really want to spend 98% of the interview talking about that. But I get into trouble in London and I don't really care. Somebody asked me a question and they said, you know, what do you think about it? Was right after the statement came out from Motley.
Right.
And I was at a book signing and it was a Q&A. And one of the fans said, what do you think about this issue with Nick?
Mm-hmm.
And you could say whatever you want. I'm just telling you my perspective of something. I was asked a question, answered it, and all I said was that statement was prepared by Motley Crue and their management.
Right.
I haven't heard from Mick. I haven't heard anything from Mick.
Right.
Until I hear a statement from Mick, I don't believe a word of it.
Right.
And I got all kind of shit. You know, all these fans are like, oh, the guy got nothing better to talk about. He's still talking about Motley Crue and how they fired 30 years ago. And I'm like, dude, I was asked the question. I don't give a shit whether you like it or not. Like, it's just, if I'm asked a question, I'm going to answer it. And as it turns out now, I have fans go, well, what's your take on everything going on with Motley and Mick? And my pet answer now is I don't dive deep into anything. I just say, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, no, and that makes sense. And I mean, they've done, and again, I don't want to get into a pissing match about Motley Crue, but they certainly didn't do you any favors either with the shit portrayal of your time in the band in the dirt. That was, I ain't gonna lie, that was shitty. As a fan of the 94 record, which I will openly say is the only record that I still listen to that says Motley Crue on the front, you know, that was just shitty the way they made it look like you were playing in front of 23 people in a 10,000 seat arena. That was just shitty.
And that was my big beef. You know, once I saw the Netflix, to be honest with you, I had talked with Mick earlier before it even came out. And for some apparent reason, Mick he's like, hey, dude, I hope you're well. You know, he told me something about the Netflix movie. And I said, oh, cool. You know, he goes, unfortunately, you're not in it. So I assumed I wasn't in it at all, which I was fine. I was like, you know what? Let them, whatever. Let it be about the four guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine, whatever. And then I sat down to watch it, and then all of a sudden it's like they got this guy portraying me, and the thing that just irked me was the same thing. It looked like they were going into high school gymnasiums and playing to 20 people where you can clearly see 100 videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, yes, the attendance was horrible. I'm openly stating it was horrible, but it was not like that.
Right. No, it was a bad portrayal. I mean, I saw the tour when you played here in Cleveland at the Nautica stage, and it was sold out. There was no horrible attendance that night. You guys sold every ticket in the room. So, you know, I can only speak for that one, but that was the one show I saw.
In contrast to what they had done prior,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they sold 2,000 tickets at the Nautilus, and, you know, 5 years prior played the basketball arena and sold 18,000.
Yeah.
So I get it. You know, it is what it is. I have no regrets. I love the record. The time that I spent with the guys doing the first record was awesome, and I'll never forget it.
Right on. I hear you, man.
You know, and if I can be like kind of frank about it,
yeah,
having done the Motley Crue thing, I think has actually given me, you know, a little more longevity in my career than maybe the next guy. So I'm cool with it all. I don't really give a shit. But if somebody asks me a question, you can bet your ass I'm going to give you an honest answer.
Right on.
You've been in both bands. You've been in Motley and Rat, which that's something we have in common. Both having played for Stephen Pearcy, me going on my 23rd year. But our lives were kind of running parallel there for a bit in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Pretty much playing the same circuit, but you on guitar, surprisingly. Like, not to go too far back in the time machine, but what was going on with you at the time to like take a break from singing and playing guitar? Was that just something you just felt you wanted to do for that moment? Or
I wasn't really I was, you know, honestly, after having done the Scream, I don't even know if this is going to make sense to anybody, but when you start a band or when you're in a band, like, I mean, even Motley, like I was, you know, a lot of people don't want to accept it, but I was a fourth member of the band.
Right.
oh yeah,
You know, after doing the Scream, after doing Motley, after doing Union, you know, you go out and you do these shows, and every night you're not just worried about putting on a great show, but you're also worried about how many tickets did we sell? How many records did we sell this week? How many T-shirts? You know, how many? You know, how, like, you know, are the hotels cool for the next city? And there's all this stuff that you're worried about. And when the Rat thing came along, it was just a way for me to continue playing music and not worrying about all that shit. If I can be completely frank,
yeah.
it was great. I would literally walk on stage. I had next to me on stage, I had an amp case with my two heads in it. I had a bottle of Jameson, a couple of cold Guinness, and an ashtray with a cigarette. And I did my shows. I did my thing. I did my backing vocals. And then Friday, they handed me a check. And I was like, okay, kind of awesome.
Right.
You know, I was still traveling. I was still playing music. But I was like not having to worry about all the extra bullshit.
I'm thankful for the study gig myself.
Yeah, it was a little kind of a mental break. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, I was still writing songs on my own. I was still doing, you know, I was still singing with some cover bands and just for fun and different things. Like I had a side band with Billy Duffy and Jerry Cantrell called the Cardboard Vampires, and you know, the Angel City Outlaws, Bobby Blotzer, and you know, whatever. I was still doing other things, you know what I mean? But that gig, that was like my main gig. And I just took a mental break from all the business.
Right. Very good, man. Well, John, we're going to let you go because I'm sure you're busy to go. And we got another band that's going to be coming on shortly after. Definitely everybody should go out and get the Best of the Dead Daisies. I think it's just called Best of. It's a great collection. If you're It's an especially great collection if you're not familiar with the band yet, because you can really wrap your head around everything that has been a decade of this band, including mostly John, who I think has the most records in the band. John, we're going to end with what are we going to end with? We are going to end with Make Some Noise. And where should we tell people to go to keep up with you online or socials or wherever?
Well, they can go to the obvious www.thedeaddaisies.com.
Okay.
And go to johncorabi.com. And
right.
Everything's there for the taking.
There you go. But please spend some money. Buy something, people. Please help these guys out.
Yes.
There we go. All right, John. Well, we're going to play Make Some Noise. As always, the great John Corabi. Thank you so much, dude, for joining us.
Thanks,
on
John.
Presents.
Awesome, brother. Sorry about the technical
Oh, it's all good, bro.
Not at all. We're glad you came on.
And bring your book to Ohio.
I will definitely do that, man. I'll see you then.
All right, boss.
All right, boss. See you.
Make some noise. Make it louder. Make some noise. Hey. Make some noise. Make it louder. Make some noise. Everybody now. Make some noise. Make it louder. Louder. Make some noise.
And we are back right here on Chris Akin Presents. And here we go. And joining us now, like I said before, one of my favorite groups of all time, Pissing Razors. What is up, man?
What's going on, man?
How are you, dude?
Chilling. What's happening?
Excellent. Who else with you? Are we just passing, or what are we doing here?
We got Gio right here behind me.
Great.
Eddie's somewhere roaming around.
Nice.
There he is.
Very good. Well, guys, it is good to see you. I actually saw you 3 or 4 weeks ago when you were road dogging your way over to the Milwaukee Metal Fest. I caught the show here in Ohio, and
Right.
you guys sure ain't lost anything. Jesus Christ, what an explosion of energy, man.
I appreciate that, man. It's been kind of a trip to kind of keep it going after all these years, but we're doing it.
Absolutely. Well, let's start off with the biggest thing that you guys have done in a while, and that being, of course, Milwaukee Metal Fest. It's a great festival. Jamie Josta has brought it back, and this lineup this year was incredible, and I was really stoked when I saw that you guys were on it. So how was that experience for you guys?
Man, considering the few things that were going on with me as far as maintaining my health it was pretty awesome. I think we had a great time. I was pretty surprised with the energy from the crowd. I mean, not truly surprised because we still have some of the diehards that still kind of hang out and check us out. The Razor Nation is pretty strong. It's pretty well
Right.
and kicking.
It definitely is, man. Well, dude, as a fan, as somebody that's been on since I guess the second album, because I was not aware that there was the indie record, but I jumped on when I think when everybody did, when, you know, Dodging Bullets and whatnot came out, I was like, yes, this is my shit. And you guys, I was saying this earlier in the show, you guys, for me, and it's ironic that you did the video we just played with Skin Lab, because I always thought that you guys in Skin Lab were like 1 and 2 of the bands that should have been 1,000 times bigger, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason. So, not to dig too far into the past, but what do you think it was? Was it just the record company didn't have enough push, or was it the name? Because I know I had problems playing your record when I was doing commercial radio. I used to have to call it Ripping Razors, or, you know, we would play the songs, but I would lie about the name, and it wasn't, you know, that does you guys no good. Instead of Pissing Razors, I might say that was Missing Razors. And, you know, it was just the way radio was. It sucked, but it was the way it was back then.
Still is. I'll tell you that it's still like that here in town, you know, where we're from in El Paso, Texas.
Right.
Not as bad as it used to be.
Sure.
You have some solid supporters as far as from the radio station that continue to push us as far as the stuff, our music. So, I mean, it's kind of cool, but yeah, I mean, can I say it hurt us in a sense? Maybe. But man, 29 years later, we're still here. So, I mean,
yeah,
I don't really know.
I always thought it was a cool name.
I love the
what
name.
do I know?
Maybe Eddie has a different take on it. Again, I mean,
I think for us it was kind of a combination of things. You know, first of all, thankful to Noise Records for taking a chance on us. But I think what happened was, you know, they signed us. They got us. You know, they got us great producers, Andy Sneap, and they, you know, when we first came out, they gave us a little bit of tour support to get out there. But they never took the second step to get us on any big tours back then, and even still today, it's Bion.
Right.
So we were sitting this out headlining, but nobody really knew who we were. We were playing in front of 20, 30 people a night, and it's kind of hard to make headway that way and earn a lot of new fans. As opposed to if they would have made the investment into a tour, let's say an Ozfest, or let's say, you know, opening up for Pantera, Machine Head, or, you know, some of the bands that we really like, self-considered.
Sure.
They didn't take that extra step financially, and I think that was part of what hurt us. And you know, that's a huge thing. I mean, if you're playing in front of a bunch of people tonight,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna definitely help your record sales, especially back then. You know.
And I agree with you, especially about like Ozfest. One run of Ozfest would have done you guys wonders. And, you know, you brought up Machine Head. I always thought you guys were going to be that band because they came out right around that same time as well. I always thought you guys were going to fill that slot of the Machine Head ended up filling up, which was like that band that people listened to in between the Pantera records, basically. You know, Pantera put out a record, then you guys could put out a record, then Pantera again, and it would have fit so nice, but Machine Head seemingly took that gig. But, you know, I guess you can't look back and, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda, I guess, at this point, but I am certain. Go ahead.
We're just happy that we started getting busy again. That I don't know if anybody's going to remember the band.
Yeah,
sure
I think it's important for us to, you know, to feel, I guess, happy and proud of the fact that we're still relevant in a sense. You know, it drives us to continue doing what we do. You know, when some of us left the band back in the day, you know, and we decided to bring it back together in 2014 and 2015, bringing in, you know, Brother Gio.
Right.
It was our mentality that we had some unfinished business, and that's kind of like where we're at, you know. That was our mentality with the singles that we put out, leading into, you know, into the new record.
Right. let's talk a little bit about the new record, Eulogy Death March, which I'll put the cover up right there. There it is. I much like you're saying here, I think this is the continuation from Cast Down the Plague. And I thought some of the other stuff that you guys did, that some of you did, you know, with Dewey or with who's the other guy? I can't remember his name. But Andre. Yeah, with Andre. I thought that stuff was cool, but it didn't sound like the first two records. I feel like this fits with what you guys did on those first two records. But the thing that I find most interesting is you didn't do this right away. You guys got back together in 14 or 15, and this came out like 5 or 6 years later. Like, you guys took your time, you made sure that you found yourselves as a band before you decided to do this. So what was it that made you guys wait instead of just getting together and doing something right away, which is what most people do?
Mostly, everybody's got, it's priorities before this nowadays.
Right.
But, it's still important to support, but, everybody's busy with, jobs or businesses or whatnot, so it's kind of hard to get together as opposed to back in the day, we did, rehearse 4, 5, 6 days a week sometimes.
Right.
And write all the time, as opposed to nowadays, it's like once, maybe twice a week. So it's like, it's just a slower process, but at the same time, we didn't want to rush it and make it cheesy, or make it half-assed. So that's why it took a while,
Right.
For something that was just, okay, I think that's good enough. No, let's make it as best we can,
And it really was important to capture, what we left behind.
Okay.
And honestly, to be able to say and represent where we come from, it's kind of like not a typical thing to say. I mean, yeah, we remember where we come from, but again, the importance of what we kind of left undone, and it was important to make sure that that's what we captured on this version of the band. Again, Gio coming in after we did present the option to Rick back in the day. He did accept, but after some thought, and he was still with his family and all that, he was like, you know what, it's just not the right time for me, and we auditioned, another guy before Gio, and Gio came in and probably had the best representation of what we were from that era, and then he brought what he brings, and it's you could tell what it's about, in the record.
Right. Was it?
Maybe we can even give you a taste of what he thinks about that,
Please do. Yeah.
I'm just glad the record finally came out when it did. Man, when I first joined the group, we were all ready to get this. And like Ed said, jobs and businesses kind of prolonged it a little bit.
Right.
Life in general.
Yeah. Life goes on, right?
There was even a few that didn't make the cut, so we have some already planning on for the next record.
That's cool. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, being in a band that had like kind of more or less a cultish sort of a following, but you guys never had the Metallica single. You never had the big single that gave you the big success. To come back and do it, how do you convince spouses or family or whatnot that, hey, I'm going to go do this again? But, like you guys are all saying, jobs and life and everything are now the different thing. How did you convince the people in your lives to go back to this when they've clearly, I'm guessing that for 10 years they enjoyed not having the chaos of being married to or dating band guys?
Well, I was on tour the whole time.
Oh, all right.
I don't think Eddie ever stopped.
It's not that we stopped playing; we were just doing different projects. Yeah.
Okay.
I was doing front of house for mainly Overkill, but I worked with other bands.
That's right. Yeah.
We love Overkill. We just had him on.
Yeah. We just had Blitz on about 2 months ago, I think it was.
16, 17. Which
Oh,
was really
yeah.
cool. Filling
Right
in for Ronnie until they got a station visitor. But, all that was cool. But I guess when COVID hit, and then we started doing stuff here and there in 2015, like you said, but we weren't super active at that time. So I was still kind of touring here and there, but I was kind of pulling back from it. With COVID hit, I just kind of pulled all the way away from it. And unless I'm playing or the money's really grandiose, then I'll go back out.
Right
yeah,
on.
I mean, as far as for me, I mean, obviously I was, my situation was a little different from what it was to what it is now. I think the conversation came up, but it was, again, going back to leaving things undone, and I think they understood, and we're here today, and we're going to continue to try to push on as much as we can. And we thank those people that are behind us 100%, to include the people in our lives, family, friends, especially us, and it's a driving force. So we're gonna continue as far along as we can. I know we've been given a time limit by a certain person. That maybe another 3 years, but.
And then we're gonna slow it down and play all our love ballads.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Won't
Nice.
play that shit no more.
Yeah, the fast stuff tends to creep up on head a little bit, but you know what? Again, this tour showed a lot of that drive and dedication to be able to get up there and do it again nightly. Even though I again got sick and battled through it, but
Right.
it got done, and I'm proud to say that we had a killer tour.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Well, one of the things I did want to ask you too, and I remember when this hit Spotify in 2020 or whatever, you guys' indie debut, which I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea existed, and I was like, holy shit, Pissing Razors are back with a new record, and I listened to it and I was like, this is like what I love. And then when I found, I literally didn't find out for like a year that it was actually your debut record. What was it that caused you guys to release it to the streaming services? Was it just that a lot of people that knew the band didn't know of that record?
Some people knew of it, but it was it was like mainly locally and regionally where we played and toured before we were signed. And, and then I found the ADAT tape.
Okay.
And then we found other songs that we never released. And, with technology today, it's like, well, cool, let's remix this. It was done on 8 tracks. So,
Wow.
I put it in my DAW and like, well, let's remix this shit. I mean, everything sounded, the drums sounded totally cheesy on the original. So, I mean, I was able to do drum replacement and proper sound.
Okay.
And the guitars and bass, I mean, it all sounded pretty, what you're hearing, that's how it was recorded back in the, 1994, 95.
It actually was done in January of 1996.
Wow.
And those songs go back to the true inception of the band from when they started in '94, before I was a part of it. It was very punk rock oriented.
Right.
The singer that they had at the time, his name was Dave McNutt, Loco Pelon. God rest his soul. He passed away some years back, but his idol was Gigi Allen. So
And he looked like
he actually looked like. And his antics were almost just the same.
Oh,
He was a firecracker, and he was willing to do anything to get attention. And
Nice.
so that's the version of what you're hearing there in that record. It was pretty much the band's identity crisis, because it was half of it was punk rock oriented, and then the other half was kind of like where we wanted to go and where we became to this day. The heavier sound. We used to kind of change in between our sets.
They were sowing our oats.
Yeah, we were just kind of, again, it was a giant identity crisis. We had rapping in there, we had, punk rock, we had groove metal, we had a little bit of everything. And I think we had to give it to the people who wanted to hear it, and it was quite a demand. And it still is. People are still asking for it, people are still buying it. And again, very proud of the fact that people still want to hear us.
Absolutely.
Are you getting some new listeners, some younger metalheads that are discovering you on YouTube or Spotify or any of these platforms?
Yes, you know, I have to give it up to this run. This run kind of springboarded a few things. Our numbers did jump up on certain platforms, and to include, you know, even our socials. So yeah, we hit some of the younger folks and still maintain the core people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that Razor Nation grows every day, and we want to thank everybody that's still doing it.
Hell yeah.
Great.
What do you guys think of, as Texas guys, what do you think of this collection of bands that are out there right now? And I'll tell you up front, I'm not shitting on them at all. I love these bands. But there's a collection of bands that are out there that have kind of taken that style that you guys did and in the 90s, and Exhorder and obviously Pantera, you know, the Sons of Texas or Texas Hippie Coalition or bands like that, you know, that really have adopted elements. I don't want to say they've ripped it off, because both of those bands I think are mellower than Pantera, Exhorder, or you guys. But I think they've definitely taken a lot of that style and integrated it into a maybe almost like next version of groove metal. What do you guys think of that, as guys that were there really kind of in the infancy of that groove metal sound?
I don't think we reinvented the wheel by any means. You know, we were influenced by, you know, I'll give you an example. Back in the day when we first came out, I'd do an interview and I would get asked, well, what do you guys think about being compared to Pantera, Fear Factory, Sepultura, Machine Head,
Yeah.
you know, amongst a few others. And I'm like, well, I think it's pretty fucking cool. Those are all our influences, you know. We like, you know, and that's why I say we didn't reinvent the wheel. We took from all those bands.
Yeah,
you know,
we didn't borrow, but we just kind of
Celebrated.
we just kind of went and dabbed at each one.
yeah, I like what they're doing there.
I like
what you
this.
guys
I like
are
the
doing
sound
there.
of this. And it was kind of just your mixing pot of everything until we found kind of where we thought we would be. And we're still kind of, you know, evolving. There's a lot of bands out there right now that we like that are younger, and we're kind of like, damn, those are cool. And then, yeah, you hear some of the stuff, and you're like, wow, hey, that kind of sounds a little bit of something we did back then, you know. And again, it's an honor for if those people are fans of the band, or in any way kind of took a little bit of what we were doing.
Sure.
I'll
Now,
give
go
you an example. So this is back in the day. I forgot what, on Cast on the Blade, and there's one guitar riff that I wrote. And it's got kind of like a diminishing, and then when I think it's on the same fucking riff on a Damage Plan record, I think.
Nice.
And so when I saw Dime, I go, hey, dude, my riff is my wrist off, man. I was just joking around. It's like he's the fucking riff master king, you know?
Hell yeah.
But pretty flattering. You're like, wow, man, fucking sounds just like our riff.
Nice. It's awesome. So Eulogy Death March comes out in 2021. Of course, right as the Earth stops for 2 or 3 years, which totally blows. So now we're in, you know, mid 2023. Are you still working that record as if it's a new record, since the world didn't give you a chance to work it? Or are you guys, since you guys have lived with it for 2, maybe 3 years, are you guys already looking to do the next thing and you know, take another swing?
I think we have a lot. Well, there's so many things that have popped up, you know, ever since we finished that record. We didn't really get a chance to do too much after it came out in October of 21. We did a couple of one-off shows in Texas in November of that same year. We didn't do anything in 2022 because of some personal job restraints that we had. Again, Matt's a business owner, so he had just kind of gotten into a new endeavor and couldn't really take off that much. But we were still working, you know, as far as music was concerned, with other projects that we were involved in, and Eddie's still very active in production for his own company. So we knew the time was going to come, but yeah, in a sense, we didn't have the proper opportunity to actually sit there and work that record. We weren't able to present the music and play it live to everybody. So when this opportunity came for this year to, you know, when we got invited to do the Milwaukee Metal Fest, it was imperative that we weren't just going to do some Texas shows and then run up to Milwaukee and then come back.
Right.
We were like, no, let's make our way up there and just throw it all out and get what we can get. Not per se as far as financial, we're just saying in general, overall. Let's get some people back, you know, let's go see some of that Razor Nation crew, and let's have some fun and represent the record as we know how to do it.
Right.
And that's what really transpired this time around. Like I said, even with the fact that I got sick and all that stuff, you know, I had to put it behind me and just keep trucking along, and I wasn't going to allow that to bring me down and not give everybody what they wanted to see. You know, there was so much buzz about it. It was so cool to see, and even after it was done and over with, we're still hearing about it. We're still watching it.
Sure.
You know, we're looking forward to the next round. Again, it needs to be done correctly and with respect to everybody's personal life and their jobs and all that.
Right. Definitely. Well, I was glad that and I'll just tell you this quick story. I literally decided to go see you guys here in Lakewood, Ohio, at like 5:30 that night. I had no idea you guys were coming to town. I just happened to see somebody posted that you guys were in town in Lakewood, and I literally called the club and I was like, "What time are they on?" You guys went on at like 9:40 or whatever time it was, and I was like, "Okay, I'm going." And it was like that spur of the moment that I just was like, "All right, I'm gonna eat some dinner and I'm getting in the car and I'm going." And I just went out, and I could not have been happier. Because I had, you know, I'm a fan, but I had not seen you guys play in 20 whatever since you guys played at Old Peabody's here in Cleveland, however long ago that was. You know, and that's what, 90s, I think. So
I think the last time we played there was in 1999.
Yeah, and I mean that was the last time I saw you guys, so I was thrilled. But well, you guys are back, Pissing Razors. Eulogy Death March is the album. Let me put it on the screen again so people can see it. Where should we tell people to go, guys, to keep up with you guys and to buy the record, buy merch, socials, whatever you want to plug?
You know, you can catch us on every social media platform that you can find us, as well as every music download place. I mean, avenue that the downloads. I mean, that's non-existent, whatever, but. Anywhere. I mean, go to our, pissingrazors.com. You can go to our Facebook. We have Instagram. We have anything you can think of. We got it. TikTok, everything. Visit us. Check us out.
Very good. Excellent.
We're active as much as we can with a young crowd. So we're trying to do as much as we can.
Very cool, man. Well, one more time, the band is Pissing Razors. The album that is out now is Eulogy Death March. It just fucking kills. I encourage anybody that likes heavy music to go and listen to it, because it is a definite sledgehammer to the stomach. I mean, it is a hard hitter. So go check it out. We are going to wrap this one up with Left for Dead. So guys, one more time, Eulogy Death March and Pissing Razors, thank you so much for joining us here on CHRIS Akin Presents.
Thank you, brother.
All right, guys. Peace.
All right, man. Peace, brother. Love you guys.
It's
That is some fucking murder rock there. I like it, man.
All right.
Pissing Razors, dude. I know for those of you that are watching, a lot of you are probably like, who the hell was that? And that's fine. I get it that a lot of you were not clued into the underground scene of the 90s. I get it.
I always heard of them. Maybe because I was playing in like those kind of bands
Sure.
in the late 90s. I knew about it, but yeah.
They were one of, like, I had in that era, that 95 to like 98, 99 era, I really kind of checked out of most metal. Like, that was like a weird phase where I wasn't like listening to classic metal anymore at all. I just was done with Metallica, Judas Priest, Megadeth, all of them. I just was like done. And if you think about it, for a lot of those bands, it was a bad era of those bands. You know, Metallica was definitely not doing their best work in the mid to late 90s. Neither was Megadeth.
Was that Eyeliner Metallica?
Yes. It was Load, Reload. For Megadeth, it was, The World Needs a Hero and Risk.
Was that when he's like, and we crush?
Yeah, crush them.
Crush
yeah.
'em.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage. But even Slayer wasn't doing very good work. So a lot of my bands that I grew up as like my bands, I wasn't feeling a lot of it.
You needed a break.
I just needed new blood, and I got into a bunch of new bands. So I got into Stuck Mojo was my number one band of that era, and then rap metal, because I was definitely into that, and I was into Korn, and I was into. But as far as heavy music goes, I was trying to find heavier and heavier and heavier stuff at that exact moment, because my heavy bands were letting me down.
Right.
So I started with like Stuck Mojo, and then I got into Machine Head, because I was familiar with some of those guys from Violence, and, so I went for the Machine Head stuff. Fear Factory knocked me on my ass when I first heard, Demanufacture. When I first heard that, I was like, holy fuck, this is another level shit for me.
Now for next week, Dino's coming on the show.
That's what I'm hearing.
Because now that's good. There's good news and bad news.
Yes.
The good news is Dino's coming on the show.
That is what I'm hearing.
Wow, is there an echo in here? And the bad news is I'm not gonna be on the show.
Well, that's the fun. I'm gonna share a story. So, I told Erik that what I was working on last week, and Erik goes, "Well, I might be able to call him from the hotel." So I looked at the schedule. You're on the East Coast somewhere. Where are you at next week?
We're gonna be in Michigan.
Michigan, so same time zone as me.
Yep.
So you said, I'm going to call him from the hotel. And I was like, when? You're going to be on stage from 8 to probably 9 or 9 to 10.
I'm looking at it. This thing is in Traverse City, Michigan.
Yeah.
And this is July 3rd. It's the National Cherry Festival. It's with Night Ranger, special guest Stephen Pearcy's Rat. Oh, that's interesting. They have a bill of Stephen Pearcy's Rat.
Whoops.
Well, okay. Performing Monday, July 3rd on the Pepsi Bayside Music Stage. That sounds big. That sounds like a big stage. Presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And so that's cool. And it's also Stephen Pearcy's birthday. Wow. So
45 years young.
Oh, my goodness. He's still rocking. I don't want to say for sure. I think he's turning 67, man.
Wow.
If you can believe that. And he's kicking ass. We played this past weekend and up in Sacramento.
Okay.
And this was at the, you know what? I wrote it down here too. I had it. It was the Feather Falls casino up there. And it ended up being a really fun show.
That's cool.
One thing that was interesting, I guess the tribe was very insistent that the Pearcy band play 90 minutes, which normally we were supposed to play like 75, and we don't know. sometimes we rip through it a little fast. But we're like, oh, they really were insistent on it. And so we had to kind of like, not drag the show out, but we had to do something, and I guess adding songs in wasn't an option. So we did the drum solo.
Right.
As who could do a drum solo. And then they sprung on us. They're like, so listen, you and Monaco are going to have a guitar duel.
Okay.
The show was like, oh, fuck. Here we go. Because I've never done really anything kind of like that. I got by like playing the Rat songs, but I never really had to go out there and do like a full solo. Luckily, what they decided to do, which this worked out well. Scott Coogan and Matt did this pretty cool kind of morning after Rat sounded kind of, groove in E, and then we just kind of traded off solos, but it was pretty impromptu. I think they told me about it at dinner, and then I had to go get ready, and then we played the show, and I'm like, ugh, that part of the show came out. But the people loved it. I mean, they love that shit. They love like guitar duels, and, that sort of thing, all that wankery. They dig it. Yeah. So I could hear the cheers going on while it was happening. Nice. So
was it in the middle of a song, or was it just a guitar thing?
No, we did it. It was like after you think you're tough, they just busted into this thing. But kudos to Matt and Scott, because they really did, crescendoed, and we're doing this. They stayed in the same key to make it a little easy for us.
Okay.
But they were doing some stuff that just sounded badass underneath, and it made it easy to just kind of go up and rip. And we just kind of were back and forth. And I mean, obviously he's a phenomenal lead player. He's, a graduate of GIT school from the 80s. And I've never had a guitar lesson in my life. So it's like, it's a little nerve-wracking, but I've been playing so long.
Right.
You know what I mean, man? It's no joke. I've been playing for like almost 40 freaking years.
Yeah.
So of course I was, once I get up there, I would freak out, and I was kind of freaking out. But when I go on stage, I've been doing it long enough that those emotions turn off. You know what I mean? And I can go into work mode.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. So it was a good gig then. That's
we had fun. It was a good gig, and thank you to Feather Falls Casino up there. They took great care of us.
That's awesome.
It was a good time. I hope to come back again.
Hell yeah! But needless to say, you will not be here next week.
Right.
So
sadly, actually, I'm bummed out.
Well, I have a replacement guest for you.
See, and that bums me out even more. Like,
why?
It takes Chris about a minute to get a replace. Am I that fucking replaceable?
Oh, it's not that you're that replaceable. It's that everybody wants to do more and more stuff with me.
Oh, I see.
I'm so irreplaceable that everybody reaches for that chance at glory to be sitting to the right of me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Okay.
And this is a reunion of sorts, as for the first time since I was fired from Knotfest, myself and Josh Toomey will be doing the show together.
See, that actually makes me very happy.
Yeah.
I am very happy to hear that. Yep. I love Josh.
Yeah, Toomey's going to be back on, and I say fired in jest. It's not right. It's not like I got a call and was just like, "You're not fucking cutting it, bro. You're out." It was just more of a thing where they were going into the new pod thing, and I'm not. That is an area that I know the bands and I know the records, but to really get into that,
he's perfect for that show.
Well, he's perfect for it, but the guy that he got with him, Ro Coley, who worked at Roadrunner when all those bands were coming through Roadrunner, is a much better guest. I mean, Ro will talk too. My goodness, will he talk? He makes me seem like I'm quiet. I mean, that's a talking fool there, Ro. But yeah, they're doing the new pod on Knotfest, and it's cool. And me and Josh, contrary to what both of us have received emails believing, me and Josh never had so much as a bad word. It was just like he called me and said, "Yeah, our guy at Knotfest wants me to do this," and it was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah,
and that was that. And we've been talking behind the scenes about doing another show because I need yet another show, right? But we have talked about doing another show, and that's probably gonna happen. I will say that it probably will happen, but for now that's on hold pretty much because I'm busy with Seth and because Josh is getting New Pod up and going with Knotfest. So, and that's cool. And we'll do whatever we're going to do when the time is right. But the time is right next Monday to have Josh on and to do to have Dino come on and talk about the reissues of the mechanized record, and I forget what the other one is that they just reissued, but they just did reissues of 2 of the records. One of them they just replaced they did an album where they did all electronic drums or program drums rather.
Sure, most of the people do these days.
But they replaced it. They took those out and they replaced it with a real drummer.
Ah,
and it does sound much better. I will say it does not sound like it was recorded in a box like it did on the record. So but I've been wanting to talk to Dino anyway about the new singer, Milo Silvestro, and it's a perfect week because I don't think you're a big Fear Factory guy, are you?
No, they have some cool songs, and I know Dino through 13A J, Asphalt Ballet J, because Dino's sister works for J.
Okay.
So she's at barbecues, and I've seen Dino at a few of Jay's barbecues. So he's probably met me before. I don't know if he would remember me or not, but no, I all that music's great. The 90s metal stuff, all of it's cool, man. It's all very similar to me. Those bands are, but give my regards to them. And I actually do. I talked to Josh this week. He called me up because he had a guitar question.
Yeah, no, he told me that. He said I actually had to call Erik Ferentinos to fix my guitar, and I was like, what?
Well, it was pretty cool. I had to research it myself. I mean, he had called me in the day and I was busy that day, but I go, let me research this tonight. And I will get back to you in the morning and let you know what I found out and what you should probably do. And it was kind of cool. It was a brand of guitar I wasn't quite familiar with. It was called, his son had got a guitar called a Norma, Norma. And this was actually one of the first Asian import guitars in the 1960s. So it was a kind of cool Stratty looking guitar, very, very neat hot rod kind of paint job, orange metal flake paint job on it. And it had tuners that have the kind of vintage tuners that had like the plastic pegs on them.
Okay.
And apparently one of the tuners had broke, and I wasn't sure what kind of tuners were going to be on this vintage guitar, but what I did find when I looked it up for him, the little plastic pegs, they actually do sell on like eBay. Okay. And so what I told him, I advised him that he just spend, $6 or $7. Is that a Norma guitar right there?
That's a Norma right there.
That's interesting looking.
That's a 1968 Norma.
Right. Too bad. I have pictures of Josh's one, but I don't know if I could get it to you in time.
It takes 6 months. I'll get it Wednesday.
Yeah, right. Knowing our emails. His is the one his son got's a lot cooler looking than this. It actually does say Norma on there.
Right.
I think the guy's name was like Norman something that did it. But, the guitar, being that it's an import, it's not, a huge high value guitar. I mean, they're probably, I don't know, you could pick these up for like $500-$600 maybe, but I'm hoping that that's a fix for him, that just spending the $7 just to replace the little peg part instead of having to buy all new tuners.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out. I mean, I will get a report on it next week. How's that? Because
Sounds good.
He'll be here in the Erik chair.
That's right. Make sure it says Josh Toomey on there for him.
Yeah,
if possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I turned it off when I turned that off when we were doing the Seth show because we needed every inch of screen for the 900 slides that were coming on.
Right.
Man, we did a lot of slides.
It'll be interesting to see the backlash from the whole, flat earth thing. Cause it triggers so many people get so upset about it. You know what I mean? I hope I don't get canceled over it, but
whatever.
It's like coming out of the closet as being the G word or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever, dude. You know what? All right. Internet money. John was on an hour ago, friend. You're a little late to the party.
When we were talking guitar duels, I was going to ask him, who do you think would win in a guitar duel, you or Mark Slaughter? And
Wow.
but then an afterthought would be that that's a dumb question. But
Well,
Mark
or he
Slaughter
might
would
be-
surprise you.
might be-
He's actually a really ripping guitar player. He can like
Really?
shred
Mark
on
Slaughter?
guitar. Mark Slaughter can shred
Really?
on guitar, dude. Like, and I'm not talking about like he's not like a Les Paul slinging guy. I mean,
Right.
he has like a full hot rodded guitar with the Floyd Rose and all that. He can actually throw down.
Wow, I had no idea.
Surprisingly.
Dude, it's weird that some of those guys that really are not known, like what's his name, Bullet Boy,
Oh yeah, Mark Torian. Yeah.
Mark Torian. He's I'm told an amazing. Like he almost got the Ozzy gig,
Right.
but did he ever play guitar in the Bullet Boys up until recently? I don't think so.
No, but you know, in a sense, if they've been, you know, messing around on guitar, I mean, time flies and they turn around and go, oh, the guy has been playing for 50 years.
Yeah, but I mean, he almost got the Ozzy gig in 1982.
Yeah, he
Like he
probably
was a star. He was like
Yeah.
he was like in that same ballpark with Lynch and Jakey Lee and
Well, let's put it this way, he looked really good too, and that's
You
a
think
big
that's
part
what it
of
is?
it. Well, that's like probably half of it. To have that really flashy look was a big
You think that guy
deal
looked
back then.
cooler than Lynch?
Not that he looked cooler, but he was in there. You know, he had I remember Mark looking more like a David Lee Roth. He used to dye his
Yeah.
hair blonde.
Mhm.
I was a big Bullet Boys fan, honestly.
I love the first. Really, I love everything until
the
until
first
the
two
band.
records.
No, I'm farther
THC
than that.
Groove, that record.
That's
second one was-
great. That freak
Right.
show.
Yeah, I
but
was going to see them back then.
My favorite song by them is on Zaza, which is called "Sing a Song,"
Okay,
which is about the riots in L.A.
right.
It's great ballad. It's one of the best ballads of the entire era. You know, I'll just throw that out there for anybody who wants to look that up.
I had a band. I should find the song, but the band Voodoo, we had a song about Rodney King called "King of the Club."
Oh, jeez.
And our singer Andy Milner, who his dad was Martin Milner on Adam 12, so his dad played a cop on TV. But when we would play this song, Andy would come. He would do all these costume changes during our show, but he would put on a full cop uniform and come out with a billy club, and he would play the cowbell with it.
Okay.
And it was kind of I don't know. I can't tell if the song was in poor taste or not. In our hearts, we were just trying to tell a story of how lame cops were, but
Right.
hopefully it doesn't get taken out of context.
Hopefully you're not canceled for that, man.
Right.
Hey,
I
you
mean, that
played
was,
this song.
yeah, we never did. There's maybe some live videos for it somewhere, but
That's too funny. Yeah, I just never. I remember when Torian told me that. I ain't gonna lie. First thought was, "You're full of shit, dude." You know, honestly, that was my.
he played in
because-
Rat. He also played in
I know.
Rat.
I didn't find out any of that stuff out till later. I just happened to be interviewing Torian for something, and we were talking about guitar players, whatever. And he's like, most people don't even know that I play guitar. And I was like, yeah, I didn't know. And he's like, dude, I almost got the Ozzy gig. And I was like, did you now? You know.
No, he's a guy that I can call up on the phone. I consider Mark to be a friend.
We need to get him. I
I would
love
like to
Mark.
have him on in the next few weeks. I'll be
Dude,
talking to him. A guy
call
I
him.
did talk to is Billy Childs, because
Okay.
the show we played this weekend was with Britny Fox,
Right.
and he was there. And as I told you, I'm just going to lock these guys down when I see him.
Yeah,
I'm
lock
gonna
'em in,
ambush
man.
him. And he couldn't have been nicer. He's a Pennsylvania guy,
Sure.
and but he was
Ask
like,
him if
yeah,
he wants to go play pinball.
I will bring that up. Obviously,
I'll
we'll
hook him
talk to him
up.
about it on the show.
Yeah, I'll hook him up.
He's about to go on some tour. I mean, he was playing Sacramento, and he apparently taken his time to get home. He's going to drive and just see friends all over the country
Okay.
and kind of have his own personal road trip he's going on. But I
Right.
told him I was going to contact him tomorrow. He
Okay.
gave me his number. I'm going to lock him down to see when he's going to be somewhere with good internet, because I know
Yeah.
he's traveling. So I
Right.
mentioned, hey, you got to be somewhere good.
Yep, exactly. How is that band? Because I'm a Britny Fox fan. I liked them. I liked all four albums. I'm the lone holdout that loved Springhead Motor Shark.
Is that is that an album they had also?
That's their
or-
fourth album that
Okay.
no one has. But it has I'm such a fucking loser. It's like everybody else, you ask everybody what's their favorite Britny Fox song. If they remember Britny Fox, it's Long Way to Love or it's Girl School.
Girl School. Right.
It's A or B. Mine is a song called Make It Real, which no one remembers, but I think it was them drunk around a campfire playing acoustic guitars and just Tommy Paris ripping it out. And it's just fucking cool. You know, let me see. I'm gonna play it if I can find
I
it
had
real quick.
the Boys in Heat tape because at that time
like
I
that
was
too.
I was a boy in Heat. I was probably like 15 years old, so it totally targeted our age group in the videos. The chicks that were in that video were incredible.
Yeah, they were
The
hot.
Girl School video.
Yep.
That was our generation's Britney Spears. Oops, I Did It Again. The
Right?
girl with the.
Yeah, here it is. Now, people are probably gonna hate this song. I don't care. This is my favorite Britney Fox
Okay,
song
let's hear it.
ever.
I don't think I've heard it.
No one heard it. Nobody heard this album. I mean, this album probably sold 25 copies, maybe. I mean, it just didn't sell. I don't even remember who put it out. They might have self-put it out too, because if I remember right, the booklet was like all like photocopied and shit. It was just.
I like the cover there. It's very Black Sabbath or something.
Yeah, well, the music's not, but yeah, this is my favorite song from Britney Fox ever, and it's not a rocker, so people are gonna be like, "Oh, you fucking faggot," but whatever. Now, can you hear this like around a campfire?
Sure.
That's what I think this is. I don't know if you can hear it, but you just hear people partying in the background of this, which makes me think
Right.
this is like a backyard thing with a tambourine and
Well,
an
that's what they're
acoustic
going
guitar.
for. Another band that did something like that, White Lion,
Yeah,
on their big record. One of the last songs on there is them. You hear bottles clanking, and
yeah.
they're doing a little jam. I think that was kind of a popular thing. Van Halen
I think
might have even been one of
the
the first bands to do something like
Yeah,
Happy
but-
Trails, trying to do their little Happy Trails at the end.
Great White
Now-
did it too with that Wasted Rock Ranger song.
Right.
I'm a wasted rock ranger.
And it's okay. You know what I mean? Rock and
Yeah.
roll is supposed to be fun and cool, and it's not supposed to be all that serious.
Yeah, it's not to be serious, but I'm gonna play a little more of this just because I haven't heard this in
All right.
a couple of years. I love this.
Good.
Yeah, it's good, right? And of course, I can rely on Jim Nostradamus Jackal. Britney Fox never had a good Of course.
They were an acquired taste, Jackal.
Of course, because they didn't cover Deep Purple, therefore they suck. We get it, Jim.
You know what? I'm mixed on it, but no, that was Tommy Paris there. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he used like two different voices when he sang. He had that one, and then he did the raspier voice. And the new singer that I don't know how long Britney Fox has had the singer that they had in this lineup, but he was good. He was able to do both
Okay.
voices well. The guitar players were good. It was like raw.
Right.
They did a lot of shredding themselves. I mean, I where my hotel was, I was on like the third floor, and it faced the venue, and it was an outside covered kind of venue, so I could hear them playing, and I had my sliding door open, and I could hear these gnarly. They were having their own little guitar duel
Right,
going on
nice.
there, kind of more in a slashy Bullet Boys kind of vibe stylings. But it was raw and good. Like they
That's
could
cool.
all of them could play, and it sounded good. And they played. I'm familiar with at least 5 of the Britney Fox songs, mostly the Boys in Heat ones, to be honest. But
So are you, if you had to pick a side, are you a Davidson guy or a Tommy Paris guy?
now when you say Davidson, what's
Dizzy Dean, the singer, Dizzy Dean.
Oh,
Davidson.
okay. Is that what's going on? Okay.
Well, no,
so that's why I'm hearing
he was the original singer.
Dizzy Dean
Davis.
was. Right.
And then he got replaced by Tommy Paris.
We just listened to Tommy Paris. Okay.
The new
so
guy is Nick something, isn't it? Nick.
Okay, so maybe this is how I should go about describing the guy they have now. He's able to do both voices very well.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah. Dude, I love me some Britny Fox. I don't care what idiots like Jim say. I can.
They were well received. You know, I could hear the crowd responding to them
Right.
as it went on. It always takes people a second. And when they went on, it's now staying light out pretty late. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Like they were on at 8 o'clock, so they didn't really have the lights and everything.
Okay.
But by about halfway through, I was hearing the crowd loving them
Yeah.
towards the end. It was a great warm up for the show. And then we, of course, came out, smacked him in the face, gave him a little,
The return of the karate kick. We haven't had that in a few months, a few weeks. Well, here, let's play. Since we're just fucking around now anyway, let's play a little bit of your era, the Boys in Heat era.
yeah.
Stream on. Another great song.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yeah, it was. Where are the chicks though? There's no chicks in this video.
I know. It's
That
like
was- that
it's
was
like
pretty
what
gay, whatever that
happened?
one cutaway.
These boys aren't in heat. These boys are frozen. Where's the girls?
Boys gone gay.
I guess the girls are in girls' school. They're not there.
They got tired. All the girls are like,
Yeah, it's like there's no girls in that video. What
that
the
was. I
fuck?
remember that being a good song. Yeah, that was a good one.
See, I'm definitely more in the Tommy Paris camp, but I like this is a good one. Here's a Tommy Paris. I keep getting these fucking commercials too. It's not helping anything, but whoops.
I don't think they even played that one.
Which one?
The one that last one.
Dream On?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that was a big
Why
hit
did they
for
call
them.
it that?
Because it has that in it. Dream on, oh, dream
Okay.
on, dream on.
Did he say he had to see if your tits were real?
No.
What did he say on that one line?
Don't
Terrible
you know
lyrics.
you're gonna find out? Oh, dream on, dream on, dream on.
See if your tits are real.
Yeah. Whip those D cups out now, and I'll dream on.
Cream
Oh
on.
yeah,
Cream on.
cream on. Oh, cream on. Splooging on those double D's, cream on. Your chick's gonna go back to hating me again.
I know. Yeah, we better knock that off.
Here, now see, this is another one of my absolute favorites from Britny Fox. Louder. Do you know this one?
Oh yeah, I do know this one.
Tommy Paris. This is,
Mhm.
and boy, is this video loud too. Yeah. 'Cause you like it, 'cause you need it.
Louder. Right?
No chicks again.
Drums sound great.
Yeah, it does. It's what Johnny D. It's not rocket science. It's just good fun rock.
No, that's cool. That was the first single with the new gut when Tommy joined.
When Tommy
right?
joined, yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with that is no chicks.
Oh man, they were having trouble getting the chicks.
Yeah, well, I wonder if they were trying not to have chicks because this was at the beginning of grunge. So they were trying to do shoe top metal.
Right.
That's the only thing I could, because that was like
it was
91.
marked for death. Any of this shit was marked for death, man.
Yeah, because that was 91.
Right. By next, they had 1 year left.
Yeah.
I saw. Remember seeing Black Eyed Susan, which is
Dizzy's other band.
I remember seeing them in at Iguanas and TJ's to go there and see bands. Bullet Boys down there, Lynch Mob.
Sure.
Around that time.
Black Eyed Susan was pretty good too. That's a good record.
I think they were. I remember it being okay. I remember they had a song. I don't remember what
their name of the song. Black Eyed Susan. I don't remember it either, but
I thought he had a good single off that.
Black Eyed Susan hit. That would be Electric Rattlebone. No, that's the album. None of It Matters. That's right. Because none of it matters. All right, we'll play a little of this one. We're just fucking off the rails, but whatever. We'll play a little bit
at
of...
the girls' school.
Because my baby knows all the rules.
At the girls' school.
You're staying after school. Fucking Cinderella clones at that point, but who cared?
You know what's great? The drum be like,
yeah, that's Johnny D, who went on to play for Doro.
Right.
He's been in Doro's band now for like 30 years. Nice. But he was in Britny Fox, so let's play a little of the Girls' School.
Yeah.
Let's skip this part. I love that. Too funny.
Fun.
Is your agency using...
Too funny, man. That's just... I love that era. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I know I get a lot of you and your fruity music.
Well,
so
I was like 15 years old and that came out, and I was just drooling at the MTV watching that, man. Look at every one of those chicks. I was just glued to it for all 8 verses.
All right.
Of that song.
I'm going to address this. The CMS never dies.
Oh, God. One
horrible story that I told never goes away. The ham thing, when I stuck my dick in a ham, and I'm not proud of it, but...
And just by the way, folks, it was pre-cooked, so just knock it off.
Well, I was 15. I was a young, stupid asshole kid. And I stuck my dick in a ham. Who doesn't do that? Who hasn't done that?
They didn't have any cherry pies.
You know, there's other stories too, but I'm not telling those because I don't want any new stories to come out. Right. I'm leaving that one alone. That's all I'll say.
Cat's like lurking into the phone.
Nice. All I'll say is that's not the only grocery item I ever fucked. How's that? Because I was a sick fuck.
Wow.
So what? Everybody's sick in some way. Aren't they?
No.
Well, in some way. Just not everybody will tell it. That's just the truth of it.
There's another subreddit, believe it or not, called "Don't Put Your Dick in That."
Okay.
I had to unsub from that. There was too much weird shit. But
yeah,
actually, that sub is stuff that looks like a vagina, but it's not. Right. And it could be anything from weird terrain in the mountains, like a cave, or or it could be a shark's mouth. I don't know.
Right. Oh, look at that! YouTube censored another show.
Of ours?
Yep.
Oh no!
They shut down the stream. It'll come back in a minute, but they
was
shut
it over
down.
Girls' School?
Yeah, because I'm sure it was a copyright. Because I didn't stop it every 30 seconds and do commentary, so they shut it down. So it is what it is. Fucking.
And so it comes back in a few.
It'll come back in a few minutes. I'm not terribly worried about what they're fucking doing. YouTube. Again, I'll say, as I always say, Don't watch on YouTube.
Watch on Rumble, please.
Watch on Rumble. Watch on Odyssey.
Actually, if you could do it on all three, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, that'd be fine. But watch for sure on Rumble or watch on Odyssey.
You watch on Rumble. You watch on Rumble. Watch it on Rumble with you.
Wow, Culture Club jumping into the show tonight. Holy shit.
We love it all.
We love
All
it
it
all. Yeah, that is too funny. But yeah, I liked Britney back in the day, man. They were a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, I think we're done. We're
Okay.
almost 3 hours in. My arm doesn't feel like it's going to fall off, which is good. But
Right.
I think I've had enough. Almost 5 hours of radio. I've done a CMS basically, and that's enough. Like we said, Erik will be out rocking with actual humans on next Monday, but myself and Joshua Toomey will be here doing the show. Tentative guest from my conversation with Dino is penciled in, and I'm checking on Wednesday to make sure he's healthy because he's got like the flu or something, so he wanted to be healthy. So
Okay. All right, and then I'll be back on the 10th, the following
Yes.
week, and I will see if we can get
get Billy Childs
in
or
here.
Mark Slaughter or
Yeah.
Mark Torian or somebody.
That's right.
Bring some up. Bring
Mark
some of
Slaughter
them.
might have like changed his. He gave me his phone number, and he was like, "Yeah, call me about this
Right.
this guy that makes guitar parts, FU Tone."
Okay.
And he goes, I'll give you the info. And the only time I contacted him was to get that info, which he gave to me. And then when I went to invite him onto the show, I don't know if he blocked me or what. The thing didn't work. Like, when that just doesn't go through.
Yeah.
So either that or maybe he changed his number, because that's possible too. When you're
Sure.
a big famous rock star, you don't always keep the same phone number forever.
Yep, that's right. So, but in any event, we will be back. I will be back next Monday. Erik will be back in 2 Mondays. I, of course, will be on the CMS on Saturday. 6 more glorious hours of CMS. We will be talking more about Michael Franzese, I'm sure, because Neely still has his stories to tell. And he, I'm sure, has some stories. I know that to be true, 100%. I will be live again Wednesday on the Seth Williams Show, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I know we have a guest. I have no idea who it is. Oh, Corvus Lore for the New Music Moment. They're a band that I definitely encourage you guys to go check them out. They're on Valley of Fire Records. If you're looking for a comparative band, they sound a lot like Stone Temple Pilots. But they're a brand new band, and they're trying to make it. And they have a new video, and we will be having Corvus Lore on there. So the never-ending train of Chris Akin in front of cameras continues.
We love it.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It actually is fun. I was talking to somebody today about it, and they gave me the greatest compliment. Said that they were really noticing the improvement of the video quality and the shows themselves, and me and you finding our chemistry, me and Seth finding our chemistry.
Yes.
So it was nice to hear. It was definitely nice to hear that people are appreciating the tens of hours that I give you every week of entertainment. So
I love everything you guys do. I love being a part of the CMS network as a whole. You and Neely's show, obviously the big attraction and everything else. Seth, I'm glad Josh is coming back to do a show. I couldn't ask for a better fill in there.
Yeah.
Nita's coming up. Nita's what? That's in a few days, right?
That is in a couple of days.
What do we have here? I have that.
I think it's Thursday.
Okay.
It's Thursday, I think, but I'm not going to do it live. We're going to record it.
Right.
We're going to record it. I'll tell you this, Jim Jackal. I'm going to record it. As long as it goes well, I'm going to pop it right over to the locals page, like 10 minutes after we finish. I mean, literally, as long as the interview goes well, I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to go and promote, hey, Nita's going to be on live, and then have it not happen again. So if it happens, which there's no reason it shouldn't, but if it happens, then it will be live on, I believe, or it'll be available for anybody that signed up to the locals page on Thursday. And that's a piece me and you got to get busy on, my friend, is get our own locals or
Right.
Patreon or whatever we're going to do for this show, and get that set up and get the get you on Cameo, goddammit.
Mm-hmm.
But you can check me out on Cameo, cameo.com/Chris Akin. You can get me to say mean things to whoever you don't like. Or nice things.
Nice. Yeah.
I'll be happy to say a nice thing too.
You can congratulate people on their success.
Yeah, a lot of people just graduated high school. I'm sure there's high school fans galore that listen to my podcasts.
Maybe somebody just got out of prison. You
Yeah.
wanna welcome them home.
Yeah, welcome them home with little Chris Akin.
Exploder. Maybe
Yeah.
Exploder will order one, bro.
Well, if Exploder had a fucking Cameo, then we could tell him where to go.
Can Exploder do that?
Yes.
Like Exploder could have his own Cameo and shit.
So
or
could
what?
Scully.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Can each have a separate one? Like
Yeah. Or we could just take orders for we could just call your channel the Scully and Exploder channel.
Oh.
We can do whatever we want.
You're getting the wheels turning or something in my head.
Well, turn them into filling out the Cameo form. Fuck. All right, we're getting the fuck out of here.
All right, everybody.
We've given you plenty. Erik, this was fun as always. And to the rest of you, we're gone. So for Chris Akin Presents, I am Chris Akin.
And I'm Erik Ferentinos.
And we will see you later. Peace.